Hey, how you doing? It's Clayton here from howtodrawcomics.net, and welcome to How to Draw Comics Live, I guess we're going to call this. I'm joined here today by the wonderful, the talented, the knowledgeable Ed Foychuk. And hey, how you doing today, Ed? You doing
I'm
well?
cool, man. I'm good. I'm excited for this. It seems to be our weekly thing now, and I think it's going awesome. Actually, we're kind of combining what I did by myself last time with me and you hanging out, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be more fun, right?
I hope so. I don't know. And I still got the porn stash going on, so like I'm all good.
You do, man. You're beard styled for the occasion.
I'm gonna be sharing some stuff here, so like you talk for a minute as I kind of click through and share a bunch of stuff. And
Alrighty.
cool.
Sounds good to me. So today what we're going to be going over is a couple art critiques. Ed is going to be sharing his screen here, as you can see, and he will be taking the art that has been submitted from our How to Draw Comics Facebook group, and he'll be going over the top and telling us whether or not the anatomy is correct, whether the perspective is on point, and that kind of thing, because, he's a pro. I'll also be helping him spot anything that he may have missed as well. We'll also just be talking about drawing comic books in general, so that'll be a lot of fun. We're keeping this kind of casual, just two like-minded artists catching up and discussing what we love most, what we're most passionate about.
Right.
And of course, since we're here live with you, we would love to answer some of those burning questions you might have when it comes to the art of comic book illustration.
Sorry, I'm starting to laugh because, like, if people got burning sensations, maybe go to a doctor. Don't be asking us questions.
I said burning questions, not sensations.
I kind of combined it. Shows where my mind's at.
Maybe you need to see a doctor, Ed.
Possibly, it's that stinging thing, right? Anyways,
well, you are a fireman, right?
Yeah, I'm all good. So yeah, I'm gonna grab some. I already made a thread earlier in our Facebook group about anybody wanted some art looked at and stuff and talked about. So I'll be grabbing those. I can't say we'll get to every one because last I was looking, it was like 20 or 30 pieces and stuff, right? So it's nothing personal if we get to you or don't, it's just, we'll be just doing what we do. And honestly, half of this is like saying hi to everybody else here, like Brian, Jim, Rick, everybody. Like I see so many of our buds commenting and stuff, right? So
yeah, totally. This is really funny. Johnny Cage says, I feel like Clayton is dying to see a barber. How can you tell? Is it the beanie?
Yeah.
Man, I can't take this thing off. Sorry. If someone asked that, I can't see your name in the comments, but someone said take it off. I'm not taking it off today. It's just too darn long. I can't expose you to such things.
You got me curious now, man. I want to see how bad it is.
Oh, it's just super long. It looks like it did when I was like 16 or 17.
All right. Yeah.
I
actually, mine isn't. I clip mine myself at home.
Oh, well done. I envy that ability.
Yeah, I have a pair of clippers and kind of do it up and occasionally miss a spot, but like, yeah, and then it's not bad, right? Like it's
looks
good
pretty
enough.
Good.
Yeah,
you look sharp today, Ed.
Well, I started doing it because like when I was living in Korea, they really loved the bowl cut or something like this thing, and it just didn't suit my head. So I was like, I'm gonna, I'll learn to do it myself. And like a $30 pair of clippers or whatever lasts 5 years, and how many haircuts and stuff. So it's much cheaper. Totally. Corey says he's seen your hair, and it's really, really bad.
Yeah, he had the wonderful opportunity to see it over the weekend, and he basically said that in person to me.
Really? See,
yeah, but he doesn't look any better.
Oh, we've got some Korean fans in the house. Nice. Yeah, Chelsea's talking about kimchi. You know what? It's funny because my life really hasn't been affected that much because of the lockdowns and everything. But the one thing, we're starting to miss out on things in the grocery store, right? Like there's odds and ends, and I can't buy kimchi. So my kid is getting kind of little growly.
Oh, right. She really loves this stuff, huh?
Yeah. Okay, you talk for a bit. I'm gonna scroll through and see if I can find some pictures to drag up onto my.
All right. Yeah. So, well, let me talk to you guys about what I've been working on and what
Oh,
we've
right.
got
Yep.
planned. So I've actually been working on well, I'll get it up and show you guys. Why not? I'll give you a little preview. I haven't showed anybody this just yet, so it's going to be real fun. This is a new character I've been working on for my comic book, my upcoming comic book called Renegade Alpha. And this is one of the newest characters. Her name is Ricochet. And if I just share my screen here, I'll get her up. I want to share that one.
Nope, that's my
That
screen.
looks weird, doesn't it? So this is her. She's a pretty cool cat.
Oh, right on. Looks good.
Yeah. One of my favorites actually that I've drawn up thus far. For me, it's really important. Out of everything else, at the top of my list of priorities is to capture a beautiful looking face, especially on my female characters. So I put a lot of time into that. If I'm a perfectionist about anything, it's always going to be the face. No matter how much I try to get over my perfectionism, I'm always going to be stuck on that. So I'm always constantly flipping my canvas back and forth like this to make sure that from a fresh perspective, it still looks great. Because, you know, when you're working in close with something and you're looking at it in the same way for like hours on end, oftentimes you can miss those, you know, subtle inconsistencies that might arise, especially when it comes to things like symmetry, you know, a smaller eye, a bigger eye, and that kind of thing. But as you can see over here, we've got a few more sketches planned for her character sheet, which I can't wait to jump into. I want to really tackle these today. Got a few other things to do first, but if I can get the time to do so, I will.
Yeah, I've got a question for you. When you do character sheets, I'm looking at them. Oh, I see a bit of a turnaround there and stuff like that. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask was for you for doing turnarounds and stuff. I like to do them for the face too. Like, you know, do that whole, like all the different angles and stuff like that, because eventually I'm going to have to draw that face from a bunch of different angles. So if I can kind of cover it in my turnarounds, it kind of saves me a little bit of time down the road. I'm like, I got quick and handy references that I've always spent time on, right?
Yeah, no, totally, man. That is 100% true. You know, for me, what matters is that I've got the main angles there. If I've got the main angles, that means I've got a solid idea of what the design itself looks like from those primary points of view. And then I guess part of the fun for me is, okay, working it out as to what that character is going to look like when it comes to drawing the comic book itself, and she's in all of those different angles. I've realized that, you know, there's a certain point for me where if I overplan things, I start to get bored and all the fun is taken out of it for me, because I see drawing kind of like almost like a video game. You know, what it makes for a fun video game is the challenging puzzles you've got to work through and those tricky levels that you have to overcome along the way, the big boss fights that you've also got to come out victorious from. So for me, part of the fun is working through those kinks, even doing up this character sheet and, you know, tweaking things like the shoulder pads. I spent a surprising amount of time on, guys. It was crazy. Just couldn't get them looking right. And in the end, I went for a much simpler design. But in the beginning, man, it was like a freaking a serious strategy game to work through that. And also, you know, tweaking the length of the arm as well. That didn't quite look right. I got some.
Yeah, it looks a little short there. It's reading a little short.
Yeah, it does read a little bit short because the tricky part about this particular pose is that she's kind of tilting her shoulders.
And that arm's kind of coming back a little bit or something.
This shoulder's supposed to be coming up a bit more. And then this hip is also lowered as well to, you know, get that dynamic look within the pose as she leans on that one leg there. So there's kind of like this optical illusion that I need to balance out here, because if I do lengthen the arm too long, well, then technically, anatomically, that could be incorrect. You know, the hand as it is comes down to about the mid-thigh point. And since her shoulder is already up and her hand is almost there, you know, it's a bit of a, you got to do some gymnastics inside your mind to try and figure out, well, if I put myself in that pose, where's my hand going to end up sitting in terms of the measurements and the proportions? But that's what I've been working on, guys.
Hey, I'm just going to jump in because we're starting to get a few questions, and this is a decent
Oh
one.
yeah, nice.
How do you balance your work life with a normal job in drawing? Do you not feel tired out after work, which would hinder the drawing ability? Nayland, I gotta say, man, I've been really lucky that in the past few years, art has become my main job. So I'm able to do this full time. I still get tired, and I'm like, oh. But what I do then is just switch projects. Do you know what I mean? Like if I'm getting all bogged up in some character design or something like that, I'll switch to something that's not mindless, but like for me, coloring. I've always been a decent colorist, so I don't have to overthink the coloring bit and stuff, right? So I just kind of, I switch up, and I take breaks, go outside, pick up my kid from school, put on a mask, run around the supermarket, something, whatever it is, right? That kind of thing, right? So, I think to me, whether I'm working another job or not, it's finding, kind of where your energy pockets are and stuff. Like if today you've got energy for character creation, give it your all and stuff, right? If that's not there, take a little veer off to the side and say, okay, well, today is just going to be mindless sketching as I watch some Netflix or something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Some people have that hustle mindset where they can click over from one mode into the other and get work done. For most of us normal people, that's extremely difficult. Like,
I've always found it easy. My problem is like sitting down and getting it done. What I mean is like, I can do a whole bunch of things, but like, for example, if I'm like, oh, I got to go pick somebody up in an hour, I'm not even going to try, because like I look at the clock and say no, because when I actually sit down, like it'll be like 4 hours, 8 hours, whatever, and I'm plugging away at something without really getting distracted or anything, right? So for me, as soon as I sit down, it's like, okay, I start working, and if it's not the flow, I switch into another project, and I usually have 3 or 4 projects on the go a little bit, right? So I can kind of flip between them depending on my feelings at the time and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And yes, I've still got the porn stash, and I was born in the 70s, so I'm rocking the 70s.
Yeah, Replicator and his humor. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
But guys, thanks for all the comments, by the way. There's some really funny ones here, and we are reading through all of them. Unfortunately, we can't address everyone's, but this was an interesting question. Clayton, have you tried going at it with a Vitruvian pose for the characters? Would it work out some problems in the process, maybe?
Did you Google that? Because I don't know what the fuck it is.
No, I don't know what that means.
Okay, Vitruvian pose.
Are you going to Google that, Ed, are you?
I'm gonna. Or somebody in the comments can educate it.
Yeah, totally. With the character sheets for me, the one thing I will say in regards to the pose. Yep.
It's the Da Vinci,
yeah.
That
oh, yeah.
With the circular and the arms and legs splayed and stuff, right?
Oh, there you go. Cool.
I didn't know the word for it. I always thought of it as the Da Vinci pose or whatever, right? But
yeah, I was always like, oh, that drawing. I've seen that before. But with those character sheets, the one thing I try to do with the pose is I have a beauty shot where I'll go ahead and I'll try to incorporate some of the character's personality into it, because I think a lot of who they are tends to come through in that non-verbal communication, how they physically hold themselves. Mm-hmm. So try to capture that a little bit within those character sheets, because I do feel as though it is a part of their design in a sense.
Yep.
So yeah, and by the way, I'm glad everybody is liking her. Great response here in the comments. I really do appreciate all your kind words and compliments.
I'm looking forward to seeing it colored, man. I want to, I think when you color things, they pop.
Oh, yeah, dude, I know, right? I wish I could get through these things a little faster.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say a straight one-shot character like that, because I know you're pretty meticulous when it comes to your rendering in lines and your ink work and stuff like that. Like
totally.
Okay, so give me a ballpark. After you've done a rough sketch, how long does it actually take you to draw that character? Like you sit down, you've got the rough sketch in front of you, you've got your concept kind of in mind. How long does it take you to draw it?
Yeah, like a day. I could knock that out. But
Was that good or bad? You're like a day I could knock that out. I was thinking
but
like 30 minutes, brother.
no, man, no way.
Oh,
It's
wow. Okay,
like a
that's why, man. Your details are just all up in there.
yeah. So a day to do probably the final, and that would be like the whole character sheet, I would say.
Oh no,
What?
I'm just talking like say one
Oh,
character,
just the one character?
just a stance, like just a one shot, right? Like just so some of the people listening can kind of wrap
Yeah.
their minds around it and stuff, right?
No, honestly, man, if it if it's a solid piece for me, it's going to take a little while, probably 8 hours. Yeah.
8 hours to just do the line work.
No, to do the rendering and stuff as well, not just the
Okay,
outline,
so that's what I'm trying to separate. Like for
just the
example,
line art. Yeah.
the concept sketching and stuff like that, that can, go at whatever speed depending on how well the concept's working and stuff, right?
Yeah. So the concept sketch actually takes way longer.
Right. Yeah.
It can take it can take days. It can take a week is probably my max to get a concept sorted because that is just a lot of experimenting and a lot of experimentation. Some of them are easy, right? They just come out onto the page like the concept before the last. It just came out on the page. She was beautiful. She didn't give me any trouble at all. But then it'll be one little aspect of that design, like the shoulder pads, as I mentioned, or like the design of the boot. And I'll just be racking my mind as to what that needs to look like. And I'm searching. It's like searching through the dark, bumping into walls, trying to find your way out, trying to find that solution.
Yeah. Okay. So once you do have the concept roughly down, how long does the line work take you? Just the line work.
Do you mean the outline or do you mean the rendering and the shadows as well?
Everything from the outline to your hatching, your squiggles, everything, the whole 90s kit and caboodle.
Yeah, if I was going full speed and I needed to get it done, it'd be a day.
Yeah. When you say a day, like 8 hours?
It depends on the complexity.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I could get it done in 8 hours. If someone was like, "Look, we got a deadline, and we need this in within 8 hours," I could get it done. The thing is, I take my time. So in actual reality, it'd probably be more like 16 hours if I'm going Clayton pace.
Listen, the reason I'm asking is because me and you are two different types of artists, and we've got two different types of rendering styles and stuff, right? I just want the people listening and tuning in and stuff to kind of get a feel for that there's going to be a wide divergence on stuff like this, and it's not right or wrong. It's different, and it's artist dependent and style dependent and all those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
And then so coloring, how long do you think?
Coloring is pretty fast, actually. So that's about a day.
Coloring's another day?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude. I'm going to admit this right now. I take an astonishingly long time in comparison to other artists. It's sad. And I've been trying to figure out ways to optimize my process for a long time. And I've managed to optimize it down to like, a day for each part of the process.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So for me, concept sketch can be anything from like sit down and 15, 20 minutes and it's like, wow, this clicked, everything clicked. Or it could be, like you said, it could be days, come back to it later and just like hating it, right?
Yeah, totally.
Line work. Now I've got a very different style. Rarely do I go in and render in the line work. I usually have like I kind of got it from like Jeffrey Cruz, Chamba and stuff, like this kind of thin line animated look and stuff. And I can render more in my line work, but I usually don't as much, So I would say like a character like that, the way I render it, under an hour for lines, maybe 30 minutes or so, something like that, right? And then coloring would also be another 30 minutes. So I could, if the concept sketch is already done, I could draw and color that in an hour.
Yeah, right.
And so, but, and I'm not...
You could draw and color in an hour, both.
Yeah. Like I can do an entire... So I used to bang out like $10, $20 commissions or whatever, and the characters, and I could bang out a character an hour and stuff like that. I remember like I would even post it on my page and I'd be like, every hour is going to be a new character or something like that, right? And then it would push me, like I was working on speed and stuff, right? And I was
I
banging out.
love you, man.
Now that said, like what I had done to facilitate that was kind of sketch out a few roughs. Do you know what I mean? Just the concept roughs and stuff like that prior to, so that by the time I was going in, I was actually just focusing on drawing their character and stuff, right? But yeah, it's totally. I'm fast at coloring. Like I don't know if anybody's taken my coloring course and stuff, but like the way that I lay down my colors, especially in Clip Studio Paint, it's like, do you know what I mean? I flat fill, throw on shade multiply, throw on a second multiply, throw on a highlight, throw on a second highlight, throw on a gradient, boom, I'm done. 30 minutes. You know, for a simple character like that, like I can bang it pretty quick and stuff, you know. A page is different. Like, listen, if I'm talking about a page of panels and you've got different mood settings and all that kind of stuff, coloring gets much more intense, you know, everything changes and stuff, right? But I'm just talking standalone little pin-up character and stuff. It's just super easy for me. Yes, I am kind of fast at all things.
Dude, you're insanely fast, man. I envy that. I wish that I could get my work done as fast and still maintain that level of quality that I've got. And I think that, you know, the one thing that you have got over me is that style, which is simplistic but still looks great. And it is more of a modern style than, you know, the 90s aesthetic that I tend to go for. And that's probably why the way in which I work is such a time suck away.
So I've been trying to render your way a little bit more, like actually putting the render in the pencil stage and stuff like that. And I do it digitally. Like if I do it on paper, I'll do it, you know, like normal or whatever. But digitally, I found a little trick. Not a trick so much, but what I do is, and it fits in my brain because I'm used to cell shading. Like anybody out there know what cell shading is for coloring and everything, right? Basically, you're just kind of cutting away sections that are going to be shaded or highlighted or whatever it is, right? And so you're basically kind of drawing a line, whether it's a selection tool or whatever it is, around a part that would be highlighted or reverse that and shaded and stuff like that, right? So what I started doing digitally was kind of drawing a little pencil outline of where I would have everything shaded. Then I select it and I cross-hatch within that shade. And I could just bang it out really, 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 really quick. And then, boom, I'm done. Like, so even though it's not perfectly rendered, it's got a similar to that pencil rendering vibe. Let's see if I can pull something up on my screen that is, I'm just going to hunt for an image here or something like that. Right?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
And then, yeah.
No, I totally get that, man. And the thing is, the difference between you and I is you'd be just scribbling in those hatches, right?
And you're doing them like stroke.
I'm like,
stroke.
Does that hatch look right? Is it on the exact angle that it needs to be on?
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. I don't know if you want to share my screen here.
Yeah, I'll give it up.
But that's using that technique that I'm talking about. You can see how I just kind of did a little bit of a line outline. Right? I just kind of outlined a little bit of where I think the shadows would lie and stuff like that. And then I just came in and bang, 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 you know, just used a little pencil and banged it out. And then it gave a very similar style to a penciled hatched rendering, right?
Yeah.
So that line work would take me, well, it's extra. So let's say an hour-ish or something like that or whatever, you know? You know, so 30 minutes for the basic lines and then 30 minutes to get in and hatch the snot out of it.
Man, that's amazing. Like, to get it to that level of quality as well, it's incredible. You could be smashing out a comic after comic at that speed.
Yeah, but well, don't you remember the speed I did the last comic? And I still regret it in a way. Do you remember how long it took me to do Captain Korea #2?
How long was it? Just a few months, right?
No, man, it was under a month. I did the entire book in just under a month, I think it was.
Damn, dude.
So, but I'll give credit to my kid. She did the flats. So what I would do is pencil a page, airdrop it over to her room. She'd do the flats, kick it back to me. I'd do the final renders and the page is done and the lettering and all that kind of stuff. And so I did what was the book? 20 pages. And listen, these aren't good pages. I ain't going to say this was my best work ever or anything like that. But these were 20 pages from zero to finished in a month. Lettered, everything like ready to print.
So how long did it take you to do, say, a single page? How many hours are we talking there, Ed?
Not counting the flats, like my end of it, probably, I want to say, let's say 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours, I think. Like penciling a page took me 2 hours or something. Then I'd kick it over for the flats, get it back, another hour plus for the colors, then tweaks here and there, plus lettering and stuff like that and everything. And listen, these were like, I would never, I don't recommend this, and I don't recommend you go and look at this book to hold my quality as any standard and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I got that stuff done. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like blistering fast on it and everything, right? So like that was an accomplishment. That was a lesson. I can't say that everything was perfect or anything like that. But
so what do you believe is more important then, Ed, for the people watching right now? Do you think it's quality or do you think it's quantity? After going through that experience and now looking back at that comic and going, you know what, it was great that I got it done, but I'm maybe not as satisfied with it.
Man, it's the sweet spot, because like if you're always going for quality, you ain't ever going to get it done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you will not get a book done, or it'll take you 3 years to make that book or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, Nayland. I'm going to say both, because like it's not both though. It's that sweet middle, it's the overlap of what it was, that price, quality, and I can't remember what those are, right? And Silverback's got it right. He's commenting and saying it's the balance, and it really is. Like you've got to find enough quality that you're proud of it to get it done, but it needs to get done. Like if you've got an editor, you've got a customer, a client, or anybody waiting for that project, like got to get it out, got to get it done, right? So like if the opposite of that is people that really like focus on quality, but then they don't hit their deadlines. They don't, right? And if you don't hit your deadlines, you don't get it out, you will never get another job, period, right?
That's true.
Hey, Mark.
I think that's what's difficult about working for yourself as well on your own comic book is then, you've technically got as much time as you give yourself, but if you're trying to make a business out of this and earn a living, all of a sudden you do have to set those deadlines and that kind of stuff, which is really, really difficult for me because money isn't a huge motivator for me, funnily enough. I know that seems probably cliche to say, but it's not money that gets me out of bed in the morning and gets me off my bum. Mm-hmm. It's actually loving what I do and being satisfied with it. Like I was tweaking away on that character last night before I went to bed. I went to bed at about 12, and it's just now I come back to it today and I look at it and I'm like, yes, that's exactly how I wanted it to turn out.
Cool.
And I'm satisfied. It's a good feeling.
Yep.
Yeah,
but let me ask you, like, let's say you got a client and the client's got a deadline. The client says, hey, listen, it's $200 for this character commission, but it needs to be done because I need to bring it to the artist by end of the month.
Yeah, man.
You get it done, right?
That's much easier because then all of a sudden I'm kind of taking myself out of the equation a little bit there. And, I don't want to disappoint people. So I will work my ass off. Like I will speed up immensely. I will work longer hours and I will get it done when there is a deadline set from someone else.
Yep.
Because then it does feel like you don't have a choice, and there's been pieces that I've done very quickly and the quality has actually been decent, funnily enough.
Mm-hmm. Like, let's say you're always aiming for 100%, but the deadline pushes you and you bang it out fast, but it hits at 90 or 95. It's still good. It's still a good piece, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Johnny Cage says, if Clayton treats every page of Renegade Alpha as he did Goliath, we may get the comic maybe around 2030.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I don't know. You said this end of this year, wasn't it? Wasn't that the quote?
So it'll be probably mid next year by the time it's actually done.
Yep. Man, bring me on for the colors. I'll do those colors for you. We'll bang them out and get that book out, man.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm pretty choosy.
I know.
With my colors.
I know.
I'm so perfectionist. But it's a funny thing, you know, like I am sitting here going, okay, like I've got to make sure I get this comic book done in a timely manner. I think a year is probably, for me at this point, being my first comic, being a 45-page comic book, doing all the colors in the inks myself. I think it's going to work out. Like the last 6 months have me been like doing up the drafting for that comic book, so all the thumbnails are sorted, and then getting these character concepts done. Pre-production for the first comic book actually takes quite a while. Sorting stuff out.
Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of that right now too, because I've got kind of 3 books that I've got in my mind, and they're all kind of racing in that pre-production to see which one hits first that I actually want to bring forward first and stuff, and like everything from character concept sketches to just, and I'm also the writer too, so I'm kind of like, okay, well, how am I gonna do this? And like, you know, it's interesting.
Hey man, I'd love to see some of those concepts. Start posting them out and promoting that book.
I think, you know, like, okay, so I've got 3 books, and I'm kind of thinking, well, which one? I think I told you that I want to make a course, and this has been bugging me for a long time, starting from zero all the way to printing, publishing, marketing, and stuff like that, right? So I think I might actually involve all of these character concepts in the start of it, show how I arrived at them, and then take the course through one book's production, right? And so that's my idea. I don't know. It's just so huge. Like, not only making a book, you know how big making a book is all by yourself, but recording yourself making it, like doing all the steps and stuff. And you know, that's just monster.
Well, honestly, man, I don't think there is a course out there just yet which is actually focused on the creation of a comic book. So
there's some good books, no courses.
How to Draw Comics really does need that course. So it'd be awesome if you did that up. And speaking of which, if you want to check out any of Ed's courses, we got a link to them in the comments below. So be sure to do that. He's got a lot of raving reviews, a lot of raving fans.
Yeah, it's going not bad. I was pretty impressed. You know, I blame Clayton for getting me into all of this, right? He's the one that he's like, Ed, you should do a course. Ed, you should do some crack. And I just got addicted. And it's like,
I'm like the Todd McFarlane leading everybody else astray.
Right, exactly. Oh, so somebody's asking, Tari is asking, when you do your own work, let's see, I'll show it up there.
Beautiful.
Do you set your deadlines? Do you set your own deadlines, right? And so do you give yourself a deadline?
A vague deadline inside my mind, yeah. The problem is I do set deadlines, and I sometimes I'll write it down and I'll plan it out, and like literally the first day into this new carefully planned schedule, it'll just completely go to shit. Just because with drawing, for me, there's a lot of unpredictable elements at play. Like sometimes things just won't go the way you plan.
Yeah.
So that's tough for me. I don't know if you got a better way of getting around that.
Man, I think it was just like from having so many crappy jobs in my life that whether I liked it or not, I just got to get shit done, right? Like, so like sometimes it's just punching through, or like I said, I switch projects. So like if I'm blocked, I'm really stuck on this one project. If I can, I'll flip into another project. And then what that does is kind of wash my brain a little bit. You know, it's like coming back to that piece the next day. Sometimes that promotes a little bit of laziness, you know, like some people will be like, I'll come back to it next week or something like that. But instead, what you do, if you flip into another project, your functions are still rolling. You're still getting stuff done. You're still feeling productive, but you're letting that those ideas kind of wash a little bit in your brain, then you can come back at it and maybe something washed out, right?
No, totally. And the other weird thing is that what I've noticed when it comes to client work, it's a strange thing to say because I care about making sure I deliver a good product, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't care about what I'm working on as much. And what that means is that I'm less of a perfectionist. And that means I can get it done better and probably I will do a decent job because I'm not overthinking it. So
Gotcha.
that's one of the tricky things to do is when you are working on your own piece, how do you reach that sweet spot where you're engaged with that process, but you're not over invested in that outcome too, right?
Sure.
You're not overthinking it too much.
Yep.
Because Mark Silvestri, I remember watching a video where he said it best, and he said, "You know what? I just work fast because the faster I work, the less I think, and the more energy I get within my drawings." And
That
I
could be.
thought,
Yeah, I could see that.
yeah, totally. And I thought, you know what, man, it's very, very true. Like when you're totally engaged, you're in the zone, which means you're not thinking, you're just doing, taking action.
Yep.
It can be surprising how much of a role your intuition begins to play.
Totally get that. Totally agree with it. Okay, so I'm setting up a few drawovers here. If it's cool, we'll take a look at a couple of these and stuff. And like these are just stuff put on our Facebook group, right? I don't remember everybody's names that are attached to them, so sorry, guys. Hopefully you. Oh, Atari. I like that name. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so the first one is Venom. Clayton,
Cool.
thoughts? What do you think? I think this is Addie's, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so it's a cool looking image. Who doesn't love Venom? He's a great character to work with.
Right.
Basically a giant monster with heaps of teeth. The thing is that with this particular piece of artwork, he has been laid out in a very two-dimensional way. So we're
Yep.
looking at him directly from the side in the profile view,
Yep.
which means in order to kind of compensate for that, and by the way, there is nothing wrong with that viewpoint whatsoever, but you do still need to somehow add elements within that drawing that make him pop off of the page with that added level of dimension. It's a dramatic view. Remember that. Like, if you see this view within a movie, for example, it's usually going to be a point of tension within the narrative that's unfolding. So, yeah, I would say it's very important to focus a whole lot on three-dimensional form,
Mhm.
getting those forms to really pop out of the page, maybe by shining a nice dramatic light onto the character to establish that mood, trying to make an undynamic shot, a shot which isn't super interesting to look at, have a whole lot of mood and intrigue to increase that visual engagement.
Totally. Well, you brought up lighting, so I'll attack that right now.
Yeah,
One
totally.
light source coming in here, here, here. I'm presuming this is a deltoid, right, coming down here. So he's got the light source coming in here. It gets all twisted up in here. Then there's another light source here.
Mhm.
Listen, and there's a light source here, here, and here, right?
Mhm.
Like the light source is kind of coming all over, and
All over the place.
it's not helping it. I'm guessing there was maybe looking at a picture for a bit of a reference and stuff like that. But for me, like you said, light source is important. The other thing is, even if we're looking at this sucker straight from the side, right? Where's the depth? Where's the other row of teeth on the other side of the mouth or something like that?
Yeah.
Where's the other, connection of the tissue and stuff? He's got a massive row of teeth on this side, but all of a sudden there's nothing on the other side. I don't know. I think that's what bothers me a lot about it is it just reads so flat and so two-dimensional and stuff that
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
the other thing, oops, sorry.
I was going to say
Keep
the
going.
rendering I actually like. Like I think some of this is really funky. Like the anatomy. That's a cool thing about characters like Venom. You can bend and twist the anatomy to have fun with it and stuff, right? And so I
Yeah.
love all the tendons moving and stuff like that. I love how the mouth comes almost to the back of the skull. Like normally you couldn't get away with that, but it's awesome here, right? Like so I'm glad that he's having fun with this. But yeah, for me, the lighting and the lack of three-dimensionality to the depth of the character.
Yeah, totally. And the other thing is as well that I'll say here to again enhance the visual impact that this has would be to incorporate more movement into the drawing. So if we look at Venom here, it kind of looks as though he's just kind of opening his mouth and sticking
Right.
his tongue out. Like it looks almost contrived, right? He's kind of like this, he's got this vicious emotion on his face, but
Hmm.
his entire body isn't really getting into it. And
Totally.
if you were to get into Venom's pose here and really do a vicious pose, you know, his head would be kind of tilted to one side, maybe his
Mhm.
shoulders would be back, and he'd have a bit more of a maybe hunched forward, right? And I know he's a bit hunched forward here, but you know, you get what I'm saying. He just kind of looks like he's standing casually here. He's opened his mouth, and then
Yep.
his tongue's sticking out.
Yep.
So again, this is something that's going to enhance the mood and the narrative that's being put through here in the visuals.
Totally. All right, let's see. I'm kind of flipping through some that I had set up. I want to just quickly, I can't remember whose this was, but I love it. Like, I was going to be like, you know what? I'm looking through and I'm like, there is not a thing I would change on this right now. Like, I don't know. Actually, maybe the side eye, but other than that, like, I actually really, really love it. I might put a bigger facial expression in his mouth or something like that. Like, he looks a little stern, but his body's showing motion or something, you know. So I'd be like, you know, a snarl or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
geez, the construction of this Minotaur is, or Centaur,
Mm.
Centaur plus,
Yeah,
oh,
it's kind of like a cross between both. It's a
yeah,
Centaur Minotaur.
yeah, whatever it is, it's boss, right? Like, I think he did an awesome job. Any thoughts on it? Oh, it's
Yeah,
Jeff.
I think it's fantastic as well. I really love the pose. There is a lot of motion in this.
Yeah.
He's kind of, I don't know. He looks like he's facing someone down. You know, he's either about to enter battle or he's come up against somebody he doesn't like too much,
Hmm.
and that narrative kind of starts to come through even more because of the fact that his legs are rearing up like a horse's would, right?
Right.
Standing on the back of them there, and he's getting his spear ready to you know throw it at somebody or to show that he's got this power. It's a very powerful pose. It's a very grounded pose. He's done a lot of great work here. The lighting is on point as well, and so is the anatomy. So there's not actually a whole lot of constructive critique to give here. Just a bunch of compliments, really.
Oh,
Maybe
right.
add in a bit of a background, um, establish the environment a little bit more. Don't overdo it, though. Look at something like Frank Frazetta's sketchbook drawings. He used to put in just from some very basic background elements to establish a sense of place within the drawing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, there's very few things that I would change on that. I think it's a boss looking piece. I want to leave that boss looking piece. We'll go on to this one. Trying to remember whose this is. And like I said, sorry guys, I just kind of grabbed it off a thread that I made earlier today. My kind of look at it is like, listen, when we get into really stylized characters, anatomy can kind of go around and all out of the place and stuff, and I'm fine with it. I think that you can really push and pull, and things can work, right? And there's some pushing and pulling going on with the characters in this piece, and so I'm cool with that. Like, it's funny because normally the anatomy is what my focus is, but here I'm actually trying to figure out what the hell is going on with this perspective, like where the lines are and stuff like that. Like, that would be my worry, not worry.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, so he's kind of got a 1 point here, maybe. No,
Mm-hmm.
no, no, and then, like, is this flat? And then what's this? Like, this whole thing folding over on this side. Like, it's not conforming. If this was a shelving unit, you know, the shelving unit would continue with the perspective, and it's not. It's bowing out. So I don't know. You know, I sketch my perspective a lot, so rarely do I use a ruler unless I'm really trying to be really super tight. So I'm fine with somebody kind of winging it. But
Yeah.
this wing got broken, I think.
Yeah, no, totally. It did. And it actually seems like a very simple perspective setup that the artist has gone for here, like a 1 point perspective. It's just that nothing within the background scene is lined up with it. So what
Yeah.
I'd suggest is first and foremost, figure out where that horizon line is and then stick your vanishing point in there and make sure everything lines up with that perspective grid, because those inconsistencies might not seem obvious to you, but your audience is definitely going to notice them if they're there. And as far as the cartoons go, they do have a very I believe it's Robert Crumb
Right.
type of feel to the style, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Um, there's there's a fair bit of movement within the characters, funnily enough. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
a
I
bit of out
actually
of
like the
place in the
characters,
background.
man. The truth is, this is J.M. Hunters, and
Yeah,
I'm pretty critical when it comes to anatomy and characters, and I'm like, oh, I cringe when I see some, but he's really like pulling things off here. I think the characters are what they are, right? Like, but the
yeah, man.
disconnect between the characters, and Corey just mentioned this too, the disconnect between the characters, the background, and everything. Like, I think he could have went really loose and light with the background, just hinting at things, and it would
Yeah,
have
heck
been
yeah, man.
believable, right?
Big time. It could have been a case where you just again kept it simplistic, and that might have even been a better option here. If you're feeling unconfident with any aspect of your drawing, always give it your best shot. If and if it's an experiment, I mean, put it out there for critique if you want critique. Otherwise, just put it away in the filing cabinet and use it as an important lesson that you can take on board in order to get to the next level within your skill set.
Yeah.
This is a good one. Do you know whose this is, Ed?
Yeah, he just sent it to me. This is Rob's, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Rob Arnold, the replicator.
Yeah.
This will be a good one.
Well, let me just kind of set this up so that I can do it. Like, I kind of want to, something I learned from my last draw over on the screen is I want to fade this out a little bit so that when I'm drawing over, it can look a little bit, people can see it better on the videos and stuff, right?
Totally, man.
Okay, so Clayton, you go first. What do you think of it?
So this is actually the original concept for Goliath, believe it or not.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this was kind of what Rob sent to me and said, "Hey, Clayton, here's my basic idea for it. See what you can do with it."
Yep.
And so the thing is the anatomy for starters is there is some aspects that Rob has got right, but others that aren't quite correct.
Yep.
Primarily for me, it's that abdominal section. So just underneath the pecs, usually what you'll see is that the rib cage will continue coming out a little bit more at the top, and then it'll kind of dip in. Whereas in this particular instance, you've got the top of the chest just dropping straight down below the pecs, and then the abdominal muscle is like popping right out there, like a tumor or something, right? So they actually have their own flow and their own, I guess you would say, geometry. Like the human body has its own geometry, and figuring out the basic and its most simplest level, the flow of how that geometry is supposed to be drawn, is something that's important in order to capture the correct shape for a character. And then, of course, the hands probably need a little bit of work there. But the design itself is also fairly simplistic and generic. Like this is a good place to start off. It captures the basic concept.
Yep.
But then the idea is to develop that into something which is a little bit more interesting and captivating, which is my job at the time.
First off, like, I'm impressed that Rob draws. I didn't know Rob draws. And
yeah, he draws a little bit.
This is decent, man. Like, I'm kind of like, I'm happy with it, right? Like, it being a side shot is not just basic, but it damages from actually getting to know the character better and stuff, right? Like, we're so limited in what we can view from the side, right?
Yeah.
I'm impressed by how he's got the delt coming here. He's got the rear delt here.
Yeah.
And stuff, right. Like,
it's actually a badass shoulder.
It's a pretty good shoulder. His arms coming down. Some hinky stuff with the elbow here, maybe a little bit, but we're not bad. The bicep is stylized, and we'll leave it at that, right? But just a little lesson. the trap insertion is usually from up behind the neck, and it comes around this way and then comes down the back. So the traps would have been something along this line more.
Mm-hmm.
So the extra stuff he had going in there is kind of was confusing it all and stuff, right? So the traps will come down somewhere, depending on how the deltoid sits and stuff, right? Somewhere towards where the delt insertion is here. So it comes, traps come behind the neck, down, loop around the insertion for the delt, and then head back down the back, right? So that would be my main critique. The hands probably, they need some more. Other than that, like I'm kind of digging it. He's even got the what's a sternocleidomastoid, I think it's called, or whatever, coming from behind the ear, coming down, right?
Yep, something like that.
I just call it the SCM, but like he's got a lot of good things going in this and stuff. This stuff, I don't know exactly what he like. Okay, so for example, even a barrel rib cage, like the one that's kind of sticks out, won't scoop. It'll just kind of come like this and then come down. Like Arnold had a big barrel rib cage, right? So
nice.
I think there was a lot of good things. The other thing, like he's got to have a lot more back going on here. This kind of thing, like I would have even beefed it up after seeing your sketch and stuff. I would have kind of bumped this out even more, and then have it brought down into the waist and his butt.
Yeah, totally, man. And you're right on point there. It's about pushing those shapes.
Yeah.
And especially with a big dude like this, you want those massive back muscles bulging a little bit more. I liked what you showed here with the trapezius muscles, because they can be very difficult to construct for a lot of people, especially from the side, and the back. From the front, it's fine because you kind of draw in the neck and then you draw the traps just behind the neck. But from the side, it's difficult to figure out, how do they dip down from the neck, from the base of the skull into the shoulders and down the back as well at the same time.
I'm just going to basically show, here's the back of the head, right? Here's the nape of or the small of the neck there, or whatever. The traps are going to come down towards the shoulder insertion and then come down. So you could kind of think of it like a diamond. The thing with the traps, though, is, and then there's a split down the middle, and then there's the upper and lower traps. So their insertion can change. Sometimes you'll get a trap that has a big bulge like this. Sometimes it'll just be scooping like this, sometimes it has a little indent and comes down, comes up like this. They're usually symmetrical. This is not symmetrical, right? But I wanted to show that like the traps can have all kind of forms, but their insertions don't change. The shape of the muscle belly will change, but where those muscles insert, that ain't going to change, right? So just make sure you're bringing the muscle down to where it's supposed to go to. But like unless you're designing an alien, you could do whatever the hell you want, right? But if it's supposed to be somewhat familiar to the human eye and stuff like that, keep an eye on where those insertions are and stuff, right?
Yeah, totally. Ed is our anatomy expert on how to draw comics. So if you want to check out his anatomy course in the courses section of how to draw comics, we've actually got a link to all of his course collection in the comments below this video. So check those out.
Hey, we got 50 people watching us live right now.
Yeah, we do, man. You can see that, huh?
Yeah. Because it's kind of piecing together a few of the different sources and stuff, right? So
yeah, totally. It's really awesome.
Okay, I wanted to take a look at this one.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Deadpool.
This is amazing. This looks like,
and it's somebody I know too, and I do not know the name on this guy. It's the guy that won the Dominic. He won the SummerSlam challenge. Right? Yeah. Dominic.
He's
Dominic's
a pro,
cool, man. I love his style, and I love the style of what's going on here.
Yeah,
but I see something wrong. Something's kind of catching my eye that's pissing me off a little bit.
Good. Okay,
tell us. Okay, so, well, what do we got here? We've got a character that's somewhat leaning back, right? Like we've got this kind of slope. The head is yay small. Our perspective is kind of leaning back on this dude, right? Okay, that's pretty obvious. look at the size of these forearms. The anatomy I love. The goofy anatomy around the neck I love. You know, he's having fun with it. Cool, right?
Yep.
So why the hell are these swords coming forward like this? Imagine the angle that these things have to be on.
Yeah.
For them to be coming that far forward. They would basically like just be resting on his shoulder, like just teetering there or whatever for the angle. Like he's leaning way back, right? His head's that small, forearms are that, and then we can see the bottom end of the butts of those of the hilts and stuff like that. No, this is like, I get it, it's fun and all that kind of stuff, but I think he could have just went like not even just straight shots or something or whatever. The fact that these are leaning so far forward, it just irritates my eyes. No, and totally, you know, I love the guy. Like Dominic's awesome, man. Like it's like, that's not it at all, right? It's just those swords are making me twitch.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, let's take a look real quick at what he is doing right here, because besides the swords, there's a lot of things that we can take away from this piece.
Oh, hell yeah.
The one thing that really stands out to me with Dominic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dominic's work is his use of line weight. And now, in case you don't already know, line weight is just that variation of thickness through the contours, in the key contours, in order to emphasize certain aspects of the drawing. So we can see those in the outline around his forearms there especially, and how the thicker line work actually pulls them forward toward us, making that section of the drawing pop. That gives it extra dimension and, you know, depth. So we can also see that the use of shape. So that's another really awesome aspect of Dominic's work, is the way in which he has stylized the shape of those forearms. You can see the triceps at the back of the arm there, and the shoulders, the head, the neck muscles. He's got a very Joe Mad type aesthetic to his work, and it just makes it so visually energetic, and the drawing reads with, you know, so much interest, and again, it's got that energy just packed into it.
Yep.
So these are things that I think, for especially a style like Ed's as well, because Ed, you've got your detail isn't that much more than what we're seeing here.
Totally.
In Dominic's work.
Yep.
So this is the kind of sweet spot where you can create very alluring art that attracts the attention of viewers without having to spend tons and tons of time packing in that detail. And to be honest with you, this is where most of the interest is going to come from within a drawing anyway. This is what's going to grab people first, because it's very silhouette driven, right? Yep. When it comes to the details on top, like the rendering and the shadows, that's just the icing. That adds a little bit of interest, but it's not what matters the most.
Now, I want to point out one thing that he did here was he haloed the character a little bit. I don't know if people are familiar with haloing, but basically doing a thicker line around the character itself. So yes, he's got thicker lines out in his forearms and stuff like that when we compare it to the interior lines coming in here. But you'll notice that he's got this thick halo line going around, and haloing can be done sometimes with other colors, right? Like you'll see it added after effect. Colorists do it on pinups a lot and stuff like that. Shouldn't do it in panel work, but whatever. But you can see like the line work he's got going around this character is thicker than the line work he's got going around on the swords or anything. He's got this one almost, and he drops it, he fades it out right at the head because that's the furthest away. So it's not a full halo. Like halos are usually same size all the way around, but he semi-haloed this around, especially to punch it and separate it from the swords and everything else, right? So that's something to note on Dominic's stuff. And I love his work. I loved his submission in the last summer and everything, and seems like a good guy and everything. So it's not like incredible art. It's quality stuff, right?
So guys, this link is where you need to go in order to post your work. So it's on Facebook. At the moment, that's kind of our system. Yeah, we will try to figure out a better one at some point, but for now, just post any work you want us to critique into the comments section of this thread on the How to Draw Comics Facebook group.
I've got a few people sending me in private messages as well.
Or private message, Ed.
I don't know if people are my friends. I guess they could do that. Like I don't know how many friends I want of you people necessarily, right? But
He doesn't like people a whole lot, do you, Ed?
I don't know. My friends list is getting pretty packed.
So is
Okay,
mine.
there's another one that I wanted to look at. Oh no, we did that one. Did that one? Did
That
this one?
Yep.
This one. This is
Ah,
want to take a peek at. But I'm still looking back and forth at that thread, trying to see, like if anybody's posting recently or anything like that. We've got a number of pieces to go through, so we're not in a big rush. But we've already been at this an hour, right? So like,
yeah, wow.
I don't know more people, but we're still gaining viewers, right? So if people like it, we'll keep on going for a bit and
Yeah, it's amazing.
drinking my Wolverine juice.
Yeah, unfortunately, we won't be able to get through everybody's today, guys, but we really do appreciate those submissions. It's a lot of fun helping you out and, sharing some of the lessons that we can learn from your work with everybody else.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, Levi just caught the same thing I did. The swords are off in perspective and stuff. Sorry, I'm just kind of scrolling through some of the comments and stuff and seeing if there's anything. Okay, let's look at this one, Clayton.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah, there are things that are really kind of. It's only it's a beginning sketch. Actually, if I back out, we can see what's happening here. I don't know if it's that clear, but we've got a face here, a body. I'm kind of not sure how the body's for. If I'm sketching it, if I'm going to come over, I'm guessing clavicles here, neck's coming down, right? Traps are coming off this side. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing what he's got going here. Then this arm is coming around and it comes up, and we've got the hand with the claws, right?
Right.
Right. This kind of thing and stuff like that. Because it's kind of not so easy to see in the and my sketch made it so much worse, right? But yeah, just so if we can punch it up so people can see it at home a little bit. But that's not my issue. My issue is right there. Let's see if I can do that better. Right there. There we go.
Okay. The mouth?
Yeah. Everything else is not really phasing me, but this mouth has got this weird. It's got this weird tilt this way, as if these gums are pushing out forward, but then the chin comes back behind it. Like the edge of this, we're following the rim of the teeth, right? So like the jaw somewhere starts down here. If we're going to have a jaw hinge, right? It confuses the hell out of me.
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit odd, the curvature of the mouth there. So the easiest thing to remember, guys, is when you're drawing a mouth, especially an open mouth, is that the teeth inside tend to follow a can-like curvature. So it's almost like if you were to place a can onto the front of your face where your teeth would sit, they actually follow this arch around to the sides of the skull. Just underneath the cheekbones is about where they end, and then the jawline comes up underneath those. But that's what's probably throwing this piece off in regards to what Ed brought up. And so the actual, basically below the eyes and even below the nose, the structure of the head just looks a little bit odd. Because this is a creature, that could be passable as a fact that it is a creature, right? So maybe the artist would say, well, that's just the way in which they're anatomically made up. Whether or not,
let's say that then, right? Well, then what should happen is the jaw hinge should be here, right? The jaw should be hinged down here, and then it goes off of that. Because if we look at a skull, right, we're dropping down the human skull, right? We've got the teeth. I should have made this bigger. But as soon as that hinge opens up, right, we've got this going on, right? So the teeth are here, and we use this as a center point for a hinge, right? So we've got to follow the line of the teeth and where that jaw hinges. His jaw hinge seems to be up here, but his teeth are coming off of there. And it just, for the life of me, I can't figure out how that works at all. Right, like if his jaw is hinging here, and he looks like he's got the average structure of a jaw, right, then how is this going to open at all? It doesn't open then, right? Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It won't hinge this way.
No, exactly. And yeah, I mean that section is definitely something that could be worked on. What do you think about the rest of the facial structure, Ed?
Sorry, where did
Oh,
I?
nice.
No, I'm bringing that up for a reason that I'll show you in a second. If I can ever find this thing again, where was he? He was here. Nope, here. Yep. Okay. Truthfully, not bad. Like it doesn't bother me. Like I like the short stubby nose and stuff like that. Oh, I guess switch it out. You know,
Yep.
like I'm looking at how it's laid out. Well, it's, you know, there's a few wonky things. There's some little imbalance, but I kind of pick one major problem at a time, and the mouth was the major thing that caught my eye on it. Right? I don't know. Do you see anything in the face that's bugging you or anything? Or
Yeah, so there's probably a few things here. I think the perspective is probably a little bit off just in where the horns are placed on top of the head. So I think if we look at the far horn, it looks further over to the side of that part of the head than the one on the opposite. So what
right.
I'm saying here
So
is
I'm
that the
following
horn
the
that's closest to us.
if I was following the eye, like this one seems to be lined up with the eye. Why isn't this one, you know, following?
Exactly.
It should have been bumped over something along.
Yeah.
Whatever,
So
right?
they're a little bit asymmetrical based on that
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah.
Which means there's two options here that the artist could go for. He either needs to move the horn that is closest to us out a little bit, more to the side of the head, on the side that's closest to us, and or needs to exactly do what Ed has just done, pull that other horn in. Now, the other thing that I want to mention here as well is his ear. So it looks as though his ear is kind of stand out to the sides a little bit, right? Like they're not going straight back, which means based on the side of that ear and the angle at which it's on, we should be able to see the other one on the opposite side of the
It
head.
is so hard to see, but he actually has it slightly roughed in.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, good catch. He actually did that. So yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I don't know how far I would have brought it out though. Maybe yay far or something. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah, that's about perfect actually.
I think maybe about that. Maybe not even that much. I don't know. I might have just hinted at it or something. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'd experiment to see what plays right on it and stuff, right?
You know, props to him because that's a dynamic shot that he's gone for. He's done his best, and you just gotta jump in the deep end sometimes with this stuff in order to learn the most.
Yep. Sorry, I just wanted to see if I could find that this thing. I want to show you guys something that I was doing in my courses that might help some people. So what I was doing was using this type of lid, right? And just drawing over it, right? So what I would do is say, okay, well, you know, here's your center line, right? Here's your two front teeth, the next tooth, the next tooth, the canines, and then you start to show a little bit of depth as you start to go back into the molars and stuff like that, right? So you can grab like whether it's a disc, whatever it is, whether it's a little jar lid like I've got here, right? And you start to understand that, you know, there's depth into the mouth and stuff, right? And that's an easy way to sketch out the teeth, right? You know, like I don't know, I think you said it at one point about like a jar lid or something like that, right? The other thing that I really want to emphasize is that, let's say we're looking at, we're looking at an ugly little skull, right? Okay. And this skull has teeth, and then, you know, it's the hinge, right? Most people, what they do when they draw the mouth open is they'll come down, they'll draw these teeth, and then they'll drop this jaw down exactly like this, right? You know, the jaw will come up to here, something along these lines, and this is how they view it. So when we're looking at this view, we're looking at the teeth straight on, right? And then when they draw it again with the mouth open, they're still looking at the teeth straight on. But what you should be doing is realizing, and this is why I paid so much attention to that, is that that jaw hinge, when it opens, right? We're looking, if we're still looking straight on here, we're going to see the front of these teeth. But on this one, if the head's in that exact same position, we're going to be looking down on the bottom teeth, right? So this is something that a lot of people mess up on. And this is why, like, that picture caught my eye right away, because I was like, that hinging is never going to work. And it's just, people mess up on the jaw hinge and the teeth so often and stuff, right? So just keep that in mind, that don't extend these jaws and, put it out there like that. It'll look really wonky and stuff. Remember that there's that hinge. It's going to drop and come back, right? It's going to keep rolling back. So
yeah,
there's
very, very true.
Jaw anatomy lesson for today.
That's a great example, man.
Thanks, brother.
Really, really good stuff.
Yeah,
I'll pop a link to your courses in the chat, actually.
Yeah, that one's actually in my faces course, how to draw faces and stuff. So I go over so much detail of the face, all the anatomy of it and stuff, and expressions, how things turn, how things move and stuff, how we can play with proportions on it and stuff. Yeah, it's actually a pretty solid course. I think it's like really highly rated out there. Like, it's one of the highest rated courses and stuff, right? So
it's true, man. It's got a lot of great reviews, and honestly, man, your anatomy course, you just keep freaking adding to that thing. It's so comprehensive now, and it's what, like, how much? $10 or something?
Yeah, on our website, it's the cheapest.
It's too low, man.
At $10, and like, I think when I first launched it was 3 hours. Then I redid the whole thing because I didn't like the audio level on it and stuff. And then I added more, and I keep adding more. And now it's at like, and I get student feedback, right? Like, people will ask me questions. I'll be like, you know what? I should have covered that, right? And so I'll add in like a little bonus unit or a little clip or some extra little things or something. I think the most recent one I added was figure drawing in perspective, figuring out how to put at least roughing in characters in perspective and stuff, right? So it started at 3 hours, and now I think it's almost 7 hours long. And for $10, like, that's crazy. So, like, go out and buy it, people. I don't know.
Man, totally. I haven't even got through it yet. There's so much content in that thing, and
I keep adding to it, right? And,
well, Ed, I love that you're taking on feedback from students and listening to their suggestions and then adding that to the course. I think that's how you've managed to be able to guarantee that anyone who picks it up is going to get exactly what they need out of it and what they want out of it, more importantly.
Yeah, so what I used to do was I would demo the courses live in front of students and stuff, right? But where I'm living right now, I don't have that student base. So I rely on my, the online feedback and stuff. And you know what? I don't think I'm going to please every student out there. I had a critique. When was it? Today? I woke up and checked the reviews, and one student was like, "This course is too slow." And I was like, "It's a course for kids." Do you know what I mean? And this adult was bitching me out for the course tempo being too slow. I'm like, it's in the description. It was like how to draw basics for kids, right? And
yeah,
it's designed to be slow. Like, and as those courses go forward, they speed up and stuff, right? But like, I don't want to hit a kid with super speed or anything, right? So like, most of the feedback I take and I thank and stuff, and some of it I'm like, thanks, right? A little bit less of a thanks on that.
Are we going to get Rob in here?
Like Rob coming in and joining us?
Yeah.
Or oh yeah, I'd love to have him on the screen. He's cool, man.
All right, yeah, we'll get him in then.
Okay.
See, normally he's busy all the time. He's sick, or he's got some excuse. But he reckons he's got something to say, so we'll let him.
He's got something to say, does he? That's funny.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. He said he couldn't believe that I didn't send him a link. He's very disappointed.
Okay.
But so he'll jump on in a second. But
before he does that, what I want to actually talk about. Let's see if I've got it in here. This new course that I just wrapped on and stuff, right? So Alex is asking, are there adults courses or do the kids ones ramp up to more advanced level? Alex, we've got both. Like most, I've kind of got 6 and 6, right? Like the adult ones and the kid ones often cover a lot of the same stuff, but the pacing, the unit duration, with an adult course, I might have it like 20 to 45 minutes long for each unit. Whereas in the kid ones, I try to keep around 15 minutes each, that type of stuff, right? So, we've got both. We've on our site, we've got a special section just for kids, but the rest of it is for adults. And I will say this, though, this unit this course that I just finished right now, honestly, I'd almost say it's adult level. It's kind of the top of the game for my kids courses. So hopefully this is course number 6. They've built up towards it, but high beginner / intermediate artist, I think would really appreciate this one. So in this one, it's called How to Draw Vehicles for Kids. And this is an example of what I'm doing here but really it gets much more in depth. I actually teach 1-point and 2-point perspective because I teach them how to block out like a tank, for example, be able to rotate it, turn it around, get it from different angles and everything. And is Rob dancing? I can't see. Anyways,
I think he's excited about something.
I think so. But this course is legit. Like it's the best one with me and my kid yet. And I can't wait for people to get at it. It's kind of being uploaded to all the sites right now and stuff. And the cheapest one will be on howtodrawcomics.net.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Dude, your courses are too cheap, I swear. It makes them look cheap, but there's just so much value in them. It's insane.
I know, but you know what? Like, I just think that, man, like everything's
that anatomy course is worth like $100 easily.
I know. Yeah, I think so too. I'd like to think so. I'd love to get paid $100 for it. But I also think like there's so many, like I've been the struggling artist and I've been the one hesitant to put down money on a course and then I look at some of the courses, I'm like, fuck, $300, $500. Like, how am I ever going to afford that?
Yeah.
And I plunked down some money on a few of those courses, and I'm like, you know what? They were good, but damn, hundreds of dollars. I don't know if I would do it again or something. Like, I got stuff out of it, but.
Oh my God! Hello. I'm just going to cut in because I'm never going to get to say hello to you two with you talking. Oh my God! How are you?
We're promoting here. We're trying to sell courses, man. Come on now.
Yeah, what are you selling, Rob? You tell us.
Ed's course for $10. Like, as a comic creator who refuses to pay for things, $10 is a steal. I ain't buying no Adobe Photoshop. I'm getting something else. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting something else.
You work in Adobe Photoshop all the time.
Never.
It's the.
I have Adobe's friend.
Yeah. So how are you doing today, Rob?
Good, man. How are you?
Chilling, man. What time is it there?
Same time it would be for Clayton,
but I didn't care about him. I didn't ask him.
20 past 11. 20 past 11.
Yeah.
Hey, Clayton, I'll take off my hat if you take off yours.
Man, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. My hair looks like shit. Man. Why would you want to see it?
Got to give chat what they want. Got to give chat what they want.
Yeah, right, man.
All right. Well, I can tell you're bald under there, so it's going to be totally worth it. So I'll take it off. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
I can barely see that. Put your head in the screen, man. Okay, it's getting long. Yeah.
It's getting long. It's terrible because it's all
dude.
out.
Like I'm totally not suited to having a shaved head like this.
What have you done?
Good. I got to say, it feels good.
Man.
When did you shave that,
Bob? Like 2 days ago. I just figured, right, this thing's gonna go on for a while. And my hair was driving me bonkers already, so I'm just like, nah, screw it. It's going off, and then I'll just let it regrow.
Right on. Man.
We both look like mad scientists somehow.
2 mad scientists and 1 porn star.
You look like the homeless version, though.
Shut up, man.
I look like the one they experiment on.
I'm putting this back on because I look much cooler with the beanie.
Hey, Rob, how do you feel about the draw over and stuff?
Yeah, it's cool, man. My drawing has gone downhill rapidly, I've got to say. Like, I haven't drawn for a while, just because life and stuff, and that is good compared to what I can draw now. So the draw over is great. So yeah, just you got to keep practicing. It's like one of those things. If you don't keep doing it, it just goes away.
It does, but then it comes back, man. Like legit, it won't take you as long to get it back as.
I hope so.
I
really like drawing, but I get frustrated because I want to draw stuff like Clayton draws, and then I draw it, and it kind of looks like something not very good, like a sack of potatoes. I was going to say something rude, but I'll cut it. I'll cut it down for the PG audience today.
Yeah, I want to draw like Clayton does too, but I can't get his hatching down. He really has it mastered.
That's why it takes so long.
You just need to get his time management skills up to par.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if me and him worked in the same studio, we'd like each other on different ways, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'd be competing big time in different ways.
Yeah, sure. All right, let's go to that picture here.
Sorry, I reckon that one you did today, Clayton, is your best one so far. That wasn't my work. My work is obviously the best one you've done. But out of your sketches that you've done, the one you showed today was the best.
Oh, nice, man. Thank you. Thanks. It means a lot because I know you're a hardcore critic.
There's a little bit of a backhanded compliment there.
You can't ever give them to me straight, Rob. That wouldn't be right.
No, it's not how I like to do it.
Well, listen, Rob, you're somebody who hires artists all the time, like the people that we're showing here today.
Yeah.
Oftentimes you'll be looking through the How to Draw Comics group, scoping out artists. What kind of things do you look for? What makes a difference between someone that you hire as opposed to someone that you end up passing by? Is it more to do with the quality of art, the style? Is it to do with the rate at which they are able to deliver what you're paying for?
Yeah, I think the first major thing for me is the art quality, because I'm all about the art quality. I don't want to do books that don't look good. It's just my thing. I'm sure lots of people are the same way, but if I can't do a book that looks as good as I can possibly make it, I'm not interested in doing it. So that's the first thing, trying to find an artist who I think has got, amazing talent, like Aaron, like William and Jimmy Reyes, like Clayton as examples. But then from there, it's all about the communication and rates. And that's the initial interest, right? So if I go, Clayton, I really like your work, how much do you charge? And, I get a long-winded answer and it goes on for days and you don't tell me in the first couple of days, or you take a week to get back to me. I'm like, you have to be so good that I'm willing to put up with this stuff from the get-go, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's like the thing. I did a post in How to Draw Comics and on Twitter saying I'm looking for a concept artist of Clayton standard, right? If you're of Clayton standard or as good or different style, that's fine. Just post your work and your rates in the post. I reckon I probably had about 200 applications and maybe 5 people actually did it correctly. And that is something that all artists can really learn, because really look at what the person's asking for and give them what they're asking for.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, man. And it's very simple. It's a very simple what you're asking for right there.
It's a really weird thing that I find that a lot of artists, I don't want to put everyone in the same boat, but a lot of artists are really hesitant to tell people their rates. Like, I'm not sure if it's they don't know what they're worth or what other possible reason it could be, but it's really detrimental if you're trying to find someone, out of a sea of hundreds of people and you like them over someone else, but you have to go through all these unnecessary steps to hire them. It's not worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man.
So on my end of it, what I did when I was taking commissions, now I've been saying no just because I got too many projects. I'll still do it for buddies. But what I do is I make up a price list sheet, not just with the prices, like showing examples of what things would cost, but also a process. So I'm like, listen, if we agree to some type of commission, here's the process that I send you out a concept sketch within an agreed amount of time. Once you agree upon the concept sketch, we go on to the final line version. Once you agree upon that, we go on to the color version. And there's no backtracking. because then all of a sudden, I'm doing extra work and stuff like that. So if I kind of set that out from the beginning, I find that my clients respond in kind. Either they beat it and they're out and I didn't need them anyways type of thing, or they really appreciate it and they're like, listen, this is great. I know exactly what I'm getting into. It's like, not to say it's like ordering at a drive-through, but almost like I'm selecting this and that, and I want this, but with a twist. Good enough. There's a price, right?
Yeah, and that's a great way to do it. One other thing that also really bugs me is like if I'm looking for someone and they go, "What's your budget?" I'm like, "Well, it doesn't matter what my budget is. My budget is how much does it cost you to do that? What's your price?" Because that's what I'm looking for.
Yep.
Totally. Some great
about this stuff for hours. Really good.
There's some great input from some of the other people commenting as well right now. So Brian brought up the good point before that some artists don't actually want to display their rates publicly to avoid being undercut by competition and that kind of thing. Corey says that he wants to kind of negotiate on price a little bit more, so he doesn't want to have the client completely give the job to someone else if his prices are too high. And Brian says here, sometimes new artists don't want to charge or don't know what to charge. They don't want to lose the work, but they want to be paid as much as they can. It's true.
I think they're kind of all echoing the same thing. There's this insecurity of not sure if you're going to lose a job or anything like that, and not sure if somebody else is going to scoop it from you. And I think that insecurity comes from inexperience. I think if somebody does a lot of commissions, you'll see how they almost, it's not arrogance, but they're almost just like, yep, here it is. And then you'll be like, okay, and you could tell that person's done hundreds of commissions, but also had hundreds of issues. So they already address those issues before they even come up. Do you know what I mean? That's like my process. I address a bunch of things before it even becomes an issue because I've encountered all of those issues before, right? So somebody with a lot of experience in commissions, like they don't pause and wonder and stuff like that. If you walk up to a pro artist, whether it's at a Comic-Con or whether it's online, and they've been doing commission work for a while, they will bang the price fast. They're like, what do you want? What size? $50, $200, good. See you in 2 hours.
Yeah, and I think that's ideally as an artist a place you want to get to, because like if I was a big deal, like if I was your boy Zach, right, and I was looking for an artist for the new Jawbreakers type thing, and I'm having to negotiate or find out all these different steps and prices from people, you're automatically out of a job, like you're already out of the running, unless you're so amazingly talented that it forces me to go these extra steps because normally I won't. Like you have to be top level for me to even bother.
Yeah, totally.
Agree.
And look, the final thing I'll say as well, guys, is just make sure that you're covering all your bases as well as a client and as an artist, because one thing that has come up for me multiple times is, man, if people can screw with you and they're capable of doing it, they definitely will. And they will screw with you on the smallest things. Sometimes it can be, say for example, they're going to pay for the shipping or something on a product that you send to them. They won't pay it if you ship it off before they've actually paid you, and that kind of thing. That's literally happened to me before.
It sucks, man. Like you're gonna get burned regardless throughout your career. Like both sides, artists and writers, are gonna get burned. So it's an unfortunate consequence. It's just going to happen.
Totally.
So now, try and protect yourself as good as possible.
Now, I want to put this out there that I started doing commissions way back playing City of Heroes, like just character shots and stuff like that. So I want to say that's over 12 years ago now, like 14 years maybe or something like that. And I wasn't very good, but I was doing commissions. So since that time till now, my thing was just character sheets and stuff like that, right? Honestly, I've done hundreds of commissions. And you can see on my DeviantArt, I don't update DeviantArt anymore, but my DeviantArt's full of sheets of like 50 characters at a pop and stuff like that, right? And out of all those hundreds of commissions, I think I've been stiffed twice.
Wow.
So I'm hitting it around 1%, but I put in some precautions. I put in things, but usually, like for example, like I don't progress. Like once I get to a blue line, and I'm like, okay, do you like the sketch? If they drop out of communication, fine. I've just got a blue line sketch of a figure standing there that I can use in anything else. I don't call that getting stiff. They flaked, right? And I could use that sketch to move on to anything else, right? But like once they agree upon those stages, then the money comes in or whatever it is and stuff, right? So I kind of protect myself in that way.
Yeah, totally. I saw Corey asking before as well, what even are fair rates, right? And that's a question I think almost all of us have in the beginning.
It's really, really hard one to answer because it's dependent on everything.
Yeah, it depends on your level.
I got a question for you guys. What's rent in your city? How much is rent?
Yeah, totally.
What I mean is like, whether you're in Sydney, whether you're in Vancouver, New York City, Manila, what's fair is going to change for your cost of living and, your hourly rates and all that kind of stuff, right? So I don't look at what's fair or what's not. I look at what the market dictates.
Yeah, and it may also mean that, look, say that your rent is $300 a week, or whatever, right? Well, what are you going to price your art at then? And then how many pieces of art and what speed do you need to work in order to make up for that amount of money? Because people are only going to pay you based on the quality of your work. So at certain levels, you need to be pricing your work appropriately. If you're a newbie amateur artist, then you're going to have to take your prices pretty low. If you're a pro, and you've got commissions coming in all the time, then you can raise those prices substantially. Like, for example, Rob, we were talking about Rob Willis recently and how his commission prices went from like $600 or something to well over $1,000 now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say the exact numbers, but he's gone up crazy, man. Like if you want, like people are paying it now, so people have seen his work and they want Rob Willis doing a cover for him.
Brett Booth, if you want to hire him, he's over $5,000 for a cover.
Yeah, and like this is a different point, but like I've seen some pro artists put out some horrendous looking work and demand ridiculous amounts of money for it. Like there's a Facebook group, like I can't remember what it's called, but they get commissions and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think Clayton and I went through them like in a private chat once, and I'm going like, how much do you reckon this is worth? And he's like, $180, and it went for it's $2,000 worth. Yeah. So like, it's nuts, man. I don't know what my point is, but hell, pro artists are all over the shop too.
Yeah, your point is that you don't necessarily get what you pay for sometimes, and it can go either way.
Yep.
You can be paying overpriced, and you can be paying underpriced. And ideally, if you're the client, you want to be paying underpriced, as long as the artwork is still quality.
And like, I wouldn't say never work for free. That's like the first thing. Never work for free. But also try and be flexible in the situation. Like with Aaron Alfeche, right? I could only pay him a certain rate at the time, which was less than what he's worth, far less, especially now. But because he did my book, he got the Jawbreakers book, right? And if he hadn't done my book, he probably wouldn't have got the Jawbreakers book because of the timing of that kind of thing. So just be a little bit flexible, but never work for free.
There's a lot of ways to negotiate these things. I mean, probably Ed is one of the best businessman artist people I know.
Thanks, man. But like, honestly, I've actually had clients, they'll pay me more. Like I'll quote them a price and they'll be like, no, I'll say, yeah, 200 for this piece. They'll be like, no, I'll give you 250. Thanks. Yeah. Like I rarely have clients try to lowball me. And if they do, I'll be like, bye. Like I've actually like what
not worth it, is it? Like
fast. If they don't value me at all, I'm out.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys, we can move on after this actually, but one of the last points I want to make is the best place you can come from a negotiation standpoint is never from a place of scarcity, but from a place of abundance. So and I'm not trying to brag at all here, but I do get people coming up to me and asking if I can do work with them all the time.
Mhm.
And, at this point, I'm not even working for Rob. So, if anyone's going to give me an offer, it's going to be substantially amazing for me to take it on. But the thing is that that's kind of the mindset you want to have. Like when you genuinely do not have any investment in the outcome or any care as to whether or not you're going to get this, you've got the power in that negotiation. Yep. And if someone decides not to work with you, it's like, cool, it doesn't phase you at all, and that's good for you. And that's definitely a better place to be at than begging somebody to give you work, because then that's when you're going to start getting ripped off. People will not respect you or your art, the kind of quality that you can deliver. So try, if you really don't have lots of work coming in, try to get yourself into that mindset anyway, and remember that your time is far more valuable and scarce than any form of money. Lots of money can be made in many different ways and places, but you can't ever get back more time. So if you're jumping into a deal that looks dodgy or is not going to be fun for you to work on, then it's probably not worth sacrificing yourself to that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm crazy when it comes to payments, right? Like I never want to have my name associated with not paying someone or paying someone late. So like, soon as it's done, the money's gone, like as quickly as I possibly can. And that's the way everyone should be.
I agree. And likewise, artists need to bring their game up, because how many artists people that pisses me off. I've actually stepped in and done free work for people that were like burned by other artists. I'm like, you know what? I got you. You wanted that piece done for your little kid's birthday. Here's a free gift and stuff, because there's so many jerks on either side of that. But I'm an artist, so like I don't ever want to, like, I don't know. It just pisses me off.
Look, you build yourself a reputation either way. If you're a client that's dodgy, a lot of people are going to find out about that super fast. If you're an artist that's dodgy, a lot of people are going to find out about that really fast. It's quite a small world in the creative entertainment biz community.
Well, it's a good thing to build with your artists. Like, I've paid my artists for 5 pages up front. I know I'm going to get them because they've done work for me. Right. And, they're safe in the fact that they know that COVID's going on and that they're getting paid. So, I feel like because of that, they're more likely to do a better job than if they're a little bit iffy about if they're going to get paid or if there's going to be dramas. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah, I think 99% you're going to be right, and you're always going to have those outliers that are like, woohoo! And I took that money to pay another guy, and like hopefully we, on either side of the board, we get rid of those people, right?
Yeah, hey, totally.
Let's get into this draw over a little bit here.
Let's whiz through these. Rob, always a distraction.
Yeah,
but it's good. I love this kind of conversation. This is kind of what these streams are about as well. It's talking comic art, it's critiquing comic art, and really answering and giving value to you guys' questions. All right. So what are we looking at here?
Spawn. Picture of Spawn. Can't remember the artist. I can look through the threads. I'm just kind of looking at the perspective he's got going on here and kind of liking the perspective work, So obviously we've got this worm's eye view of Spawn, right? Like it's very, very clear. We are looking up to a warped vantage point so much, right? That, right. That's so
absolutely.
So all the buildings are following this perspective, which I'm really happy about. Like he's doing well, kind of. There's some things happening, but right now, let's just say they're all doing really well, right? The question is the character following this same perspective, right? So if the character is following the same perspective, then what do we have? We've got chains that are small and get big, right? Cool. I think that's awesome.
That is great.
That's how it should be, right? We've got chains that are smaller that get bigger as they come towards us. We've got a hand that is small and gets... Oh, no. Hold on. you know, this hand is way the hell back there. He's raised it up back and stuff like that, right? Like it's raised up. And this other one is creeping down this building towards us, right?
Yeah.
This hand should be huge compared. Do you know what I mean? Like this hand should be huge coming down and stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
Not just to bulk him out or anything. It can get even thinner, I guess, in the shoulder, right? Like we can start to thin out. But how, like, look at the size of this brick, right? You know, and then, oh, actually, his spacing's a little bit off. Look at this brick compared to this brick. You know, he's not really showing exactly the depth going back. And so there's a problem here. This hand should be much, much bigger as it's much, much closer to us, right? Like, or this one should be smaller or whatever. I don't know. Like his head's this big, so does Spawn have oversized hands or something that I don't know about? Maybe.
Well, yeah. And the other thing is as well, Ed, it's not like that arm pose couldn't work. Like he could be like reaching in and away from us a little bit, but even if that was so, it's kind of like it's not very dynamic in comparison to the rest of this, you know, epic composition. And so yeah, it does take away some of that depth there, and it makes the arm look as though it's on quite a strange angle as well. You're right, it doesn't fit in with the rest of the perspective, and so that positioning of the arm is a little bit awkward.
Yeah, he's reaching past that ledge rim there, right? Like that's really like, you know, you're reaching over and stuff. That hand has got to come so far closer to us and stuff, right? Like there's some problems there. Another thing that I'm a little bit confused by is like, is this the bottom of the foot or is this the leg braces? Does Spawn have like little things on the bottom of his feet? Because I'm kind of presuming here's the knee and then it's coming down and then maybe this is the foot, I think, which I kind of get, right? Like kind of, I guess, you know, right? And then he's got like these spiky bands on here, but I don't see like a secondary band that would tell me it's the bands, but like I don't know, like this thing kind of confused me back and forth. I don't know if they're symmetrical or not symmetrical or anything. I don't know the character well enough to know how it's supposed to be. Do you guys know?
Yeah, I'm not sure actually. I got a
Do you got a Spawn figure behind you?
I do.
Well, pull it down, man. Let's see.
All right, I'll go grab it.
Okay, go grab it. Oh, Rob's gone. I didn't even notice he left. He didn't say goodbye. Ooh. Okay, well, Clayton's doing that. I'm going to talk about this as well. When you bring the pec up and then it, you know, let's say it comes this way, and then we've got the delt. The bicep is going to tuck underneath it. The delt doesn't pin, it doesn't come like this into the bicep. That's not how it works. The bicep goes underneath the delt, and the delt will wrap up and be.
That's the one we're looking at there.
Oh, okay. So he does have different ones on different legs and stuff, right?
Yeah, and I can see what the artist has gone for, and he does have these circles around his foot, which is great for representing perspective and that kind of thing. But you know, you'll notice the spikes even around the bottom of his shoe here actually angle upward, which is what they don't do in this image. And that's also throwing off that foreshortening there a little bit, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's a little bit of confusion there. I don't know. Like I said, I'd have to look at the character sheet on it and stuff like that. But yeah, I think, you know, this is really massive. You know, look at the width we've got going back and forth here. This is massively thick. And this ankle is super tiny thin. It's almost like one of my ankles, right? So like, and what is this? Is this the boot? Is it a foot? Is this, I don't know what's happening here. I'm presuming it kind of comes something, I don't know how he's resting the foot on here or something, right? It just, when we're looking at it, this leg is obviously coming forward. I dig it. but this leg isn't going back. This leg is also coming forward, just not as much, right? So I don't know if I would have went with that thin on it. I would have maybe rethought it a little bit and stuff, right? So his buildings are generally following the perspective guideline, but the parts of the figure are not.
Yeah, this is a really tough pose and an extremely difficult angle as well. Like even I would have lots of trouble with this. One thing that would greatly help, of course, would be working from a distance and really focusing on that basic foundational pose right from the get-go. So before jumping into any details, any costuming elements, just making sure that base mannequin model is posed accurately. And that means making sure the position of all the limbs is correct based within the perspective that we've set for the image. And, making sure that the length of for me, that leg, by the way, coming out to the side, it's that lower leg that seems to be super short in a very odd and awkward way. So, just making sure that all the measurements are correct in a proportional sense for the anatomy. But yeah, just really focusing on that foundation stage, because that's where a lot of these errors have actually progressed from, is those first initial setup, the blueprints of the drawing.
Yeah, you know what? I think he set it up nice with the buildings and stuff like that, but I think once he started to add the figure, he kind of lost himself in it a little bit, and I get it. So my recommendation is reference photos. Take a picture of yourself in a similar pose. Like we've all, not all, but like how many of us have cameras at the ready right nowadays? Like there's so much available camera wise and stuff, right? Like that we can just take a quick snap from an angle and stuff. And you're going to see, how much you really need to push that perspective on that pose and everything, right? I'm actually just looking for a pose. I did something similar to this about 10 or 12 years ago. So I'm kind of scrolling through my DeviantArt and see if I can find it. But yeah, and it'll show, and again, that was a long time ago, so I probably mucked it up too, right? But it'll show really how much further he could have pressed this this perspective on the. So talk for a minute, Clayton. Let's see if I can scroll and find this thing.
Yeah, totally. What I'll answer is this question by Amani. How do you get back to drawing after a year of not doing it at all? I'm all over the place. So you might be you might be all over the place. But the good news is that if you do have some past experience of drawing, that muscle memory will still be present. So you'll still have an underlying fundamental understanding of all the drawing principles that make an illustration work. I'm not sure what your history with drawing has been, but that stuff will still be there. So what it really is then, it's kind of like walking again. So if you've been bedbound for like a year, right, you'd have to go through the process of figuring out how to walk again. Well, the equivalent to that when it comes to drawing, if you've had a break for a year from that, is you just got to start moving your hand around on the page, remembering and getting used to how you would hold a pencil and the amount of pressure that you would push down onto the page or the tablet with in order to get the kind of lines that you're looking for. It's very much a process of reminding yourself how to do things that you've already learned before. So it won't be anywhere near as difficult to relearn this stuff as it would have been to initially figure it all out before you had any experience at all, if that makes sense.
Agreed. Hey, listen, this one is from, I don't even want to look. Yeah, this is like legit from about 12 years ago or something like that.
I like the stylization, man.
Right. I was just playing with the theme and stuff, right? That's Spider-Man and Tron kind of. Actually, I think it was an art challenge on some website or something, right? But that's just to show how, and this isn't even near the perspective push that he was going for, right? So this was actually me taking a photo of myself in this pose. And that's the difference between these sizes of hands and stuff, right? Like here's this mitt and here's this one, right? And here's the size of my head, right? So I don't know. Like I said, I think take some some photos, use it as a bit of a reference, and then see what you can push on the figure work and stuff, right? There's a couple other ones that I wanted to talk about here. One of them, this Barton fellow. There we go.
Corey Barton. This is from his comic book, his upcoming comic book, Kozor 2. And funnily enough, we will be launching a campaign for Kozor issue 1 in a few months, actually. So it should be pretty good.
Cool. Well, he's your brother, so I'll let you go first.
Cool. So the one thing with Corey's work that I always hit him up on is mostly to do with the arms of his lady characters, because a lot of the time they are very thin. In fact, probably too thin. So I always tell him to kind of beef those up a little bit more and maybe just kind of work on the shape. So the forearms a lot of the time seem very stiff and, you know, almost anorexic and bone-like. So I always try to, again, make sure that he adds a little bit more to those. You know, and it's about emphasizing those key muscle groups a lot of the time, not on the interior of the arm, but more on the outside. So kind of like what he's done here, what Ed's doing on top of Corey's artwork. So you can see how that just gives it a little bit more shape.
Yeah, the tiny hint. It doesn't even have to be much, you know, like just the tiniest of bumps would be enough, I think.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm flipping this back and forth. What do you think of this figure here?
She's
right?
Yeah, she's so besides the arm, the other thing, if I was being picky, is the perspective of her chest, right? So I think that we could move the cleavage of the breasts over just a little bit further to the far side of her body in order to make them look more symmetrically centered. Yeah, something like that, Ed. Beautiful. You nailed it 100%. Something that Corey has greatly improved on over the years is his balance of detail. It used to be really, really dense. He had added in around all the anatomy, really trying to, you know, define it, and it just looked like it was too much. So there was a lot of visual busyness going on, and it really was disorientating to look at. But he's improved that since then, and especially on his female characters, it's been extremely noticeable.
Yeah, like his, like, you know, like I'm looking just this.
Yeah.
How freaking awesome is that? Right?
It's insane.
You know, all these little tick marks. I think he's worse than you are, like, for putting detail in how long it must take him for this stuff, right?
Yeah, he's a shitload faster than me, though, funnily enough.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really funny. Like, for the amount of detail he's packed in there, he is somebody who could pull off a full page like this in a day if he was really pushing it.
Cool.
Which is, you know, amazing. It'd take me like a week to do something of this density of detail.
Okay, so if this was me going into this, I would be like, okay, well, I hunt for structure, right? So I'm looking at the rib cage kind of thing, you know, like the chevron for the rib cage and stuff like that. It's kind of like this, right? Pelvis is down here. We've got basically her crotch is starting somewhere here, right? We can see a center line would go from the clavicle down here and down to here. Shoulders come off and off there, draw through, right? Comes down to the elbow, comes down to the wrist, comes down to the elbow, comes out to a hidden hand somewhere, right? First thing is like that I would kind of, well, okay, hold on, maybe I'll continue. The head coming up, ear.
I like your breakdowns, Ed.
Thanks, man. Nice and simple, right? So looks functional. Like I kind of like, you know, I back it out and say, okay, well, what's going on here? Does it work at all? And, you know, I would do the same thing. I could, you know, throw, this is where it gets kind of funky, is where his legs are originating from. This one's turned, rotated over. This one's not. It's rotated this way, right? But it's still kind of going. Let's see. Does he draw the... No. doesn't go down. Okay. Yeah. So, like going with your perspective, or not perspective, your proportions course,
Yeah.
we're measuring head lengths, right? So if I grab that, I bring it down, and this is roughly the nipple line, right?
Yep.
And this is roughly the navel line, and then this is roughly the crotch line, right?
Yep.
Well, we can already see that some things are a little bit weird. He's got his navel really far down.
Good spot.
Right? The navel should be somewhere around up here. And instead, he's got the navel that far down. The other thing is, this is the nipple line for men, at least when I teach and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Boobs got weight to them, right? Like no matter whatever it is, right? They're going to have mass and weight. So they're going to be hanging down. And so also, like, I think I already did that. I would kind of do a draw over of, like, okay, people are going to laugh because I draw circles for boobs, but they're not circles. All I'm looking for is, what I do is I start to grab the curvature of the boob from that point, and then it would come up and then it would come into the armpit here. So this arm, I would actually this arm would come more this way and stuff, right? See, I can even zoom in even more, right? And then, maybe come this way, the boob can come out and then come back in. And, like, depending on the boob shape, I keep saying boob, breast, whatever, right? You can adjust on everything, right? Maybe if I darken this up, it'll start to make sense, right? So now these are hanging much more natural. He had big breasts, but they were almost up at the, they were up too high, right? The breasts got to hang, even if they've got support to them and stuff, they can hang. So if you see, where the top abdominals are and the rib cage and stuff like that, the girl's breasts will generally hang towards that and stuff. And especially looking at the volume of these breasts and stuff, there's going to be a lot of hang on them and stuff, right? So yeah, that's what I would put there. Also, here's the nape of the neck, the clavicles coming off either side. I might have dropped the shoulder down just a little bit. The shoulders seem to be riding high. Usually, if you're the clavicle, the shoulder will come down from it. The shoulder doesn't bunch up unless there's a reason. So if it's bunched up, and this is something, then we would get the traps bunching a little bit. But that's not how this is reading right now. So I think, I might have just sloped the shoulders just a little bit in there and stuff, right? The other thing is this neck. I don't know. It feels like it's getting a little lost. I'm going to change my color here. Like, if I'm following it, here's the eye line. Oh, sorry. Here's the eye line, right? And it's sweeping up this way. So that means the ear would be here. Well, this face is getting all really weird looking. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is getting extremely stretched. Then the SCM would stretch down here. This is from under the chin. Like, we're getting to be an extremely long neck on this character, alien-esque type of thing, right? Like, I'll back this up more, right? That's starting to look, I don't know, to the point where maybe I would rethink it. He covered it by hair.
Yeah,
right?
Always a good way to hide that kind of thing.
Right, but if we're looking at the actual construction, it's almost borderline getting funky, right? So that'd be something that I would kind of take another look at. It's not bad. I think it's how the face is constructed. The face is so short and stuff, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like if I was doing it, I would have had the jaw come back a little bit more. Just that extra little bit would have given the depth that was needed or something, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Mark says, be careful with tangents as well. If you follow her left arm down, you'll notice that as it goes down, it branches out into her lower back. The two parallel lines, when zoomed out, merge together, creating an illusion that the back comes out of the arm.
Very good eye. Like it, here, like, and you know what? Listen, I grew up on 90s comics, and I love some good butt arc, and like I love the twist and stuff. This is borderline. Like, this is gonna break some shit off here and stuff like that, right? So, but you know what? When I broke it down to the skeleton, I think it still worked, but there's a lot of breaking going on here. Like there's a lot of bend. Like I think he could have You know what? I am going to critique that. I think it is a stylistic choice. He wants to put the big arch in there or whatever and stuff. So be it. But what happens too is he starts to run into the same problems over here. This is a pregnant lady. Her boob should be down here. Do you know what I mean?
It's actually a really good point. Yeah,
down here and coming up, and then coming into the arm here. The boob would be hanging and then coming up this way or something like that. And then the support would be underneath it and everything. Look at a pregnant lady. I don't know how many pregnant ladies y'all been with naked and stuff, but I've seen a few. Yep. And like those boobs are almost hanging on the belly and stuff like that. Like she's got big boobs, but they need to drop.
That's a good catch, Rob. Ed, you've certainly found a few things here that not even I was able to spot. That belly button was brilliant.
Yeah, the belly button. The other thing is like even here. Okay, so we're running center lines, right? Here's the center line coming down, and then the center line is here. Maybe I don't know. I think it shapes a little bit more, and I would have probably put the belly button somewhere. I would have moved it even further down. Because this is starting to be this massive belly, right? And so what was once a belly button up here starts to migrate down and down and down as that mass and weight start to push it down, right? So
yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I would a little bit of drawing through the form. Yeah, I'd bring that belly button somewhere probably down around here or something. And look at that, just drawing it right now, it's like, oh yeah, actually that kind of looks good. Right?
Totally, man. It makes so much sense as well. This was one of the best critiques, I think.
The other thing, what's happening back here? Like, here's her back, and then, like, okay, her obliques would be here, so it could be a fat pack, and then I don't know the hair. He's playing with hair obscuring things a lot and stuff, right? And so I don't know. I don't like to hide things. I like to delve into it and say, well, what's happening here? Like, are we hiding feet? Are we hiding features? Are we hiding something? Is the construction actually doesn't make sense underneath? Right? And so, like, I like his limb work. I think the limbs, they make sense and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally.
A little bit more beef on the arm, just a tad. Just so it has just a little bit of form to it.
Yeah.
Can't say I love the wrist though.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know.
Work.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think I would like to see a little bit more of.
Well, the wrist is kind of missing altogether.
Right. It just floats from the arm into the hand there, and I'm not with it. Right. Anything else? This shoulder comes up. That's fine. This shoulder kind of comes back. It's not really like, I don't know if I would have had it coming straight across this way. Do you know what I mean? And drop this shoulder down more and then flowed through this way. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know. I don't know why the shoulders popped up, but we don't see what else is going on. And if I get rid of all the stuff, now we see how awkward this rib cage looks. How awkward. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's starting confusing and stuff, right?
Yeah, there you go. Corey, you've really got a lot of bang for your buck today.
Now, Corey might be, I hope he's taking it, like, him better than I do, right? So hopefully he's cool with it. He gave it up to be talked about. So we're talking about it.
No, totally. And it's really awesome. I think that this is one of the most valuable things that you can get is someone paying attention to your work and really taking that time and that energy to work through it and to give you that feedback. I'm not sure how much longer you want to go for, Ed, but did you want to jump
hours already? Wow.
Did you want to jump onto Jimmy's as well? He's been waiting in here for a while. He's really wants us to check out his stuff.
His
it's that Venom one. That one there.
No.
Yeah.
Hold on. Rob sent this to me, didn't he? Who sent that to me?
Yeah, so Jimmy sent it to Rob to send to you. So Jimmy's really wanted us to do his feedback here.
Oh, okay. My bad.
So Jimmy actually is an inker and an artist. He's worked with David Finch before, along with a bunch of other artists like Brett Booth. So he's a pro. He's actually inked some of my stuff. But what I didn't know about Jimmy is that he also drew. So this is completely from the mind of Jimmy Reyes.
Cool.
As you can see, he's quite a talented individual, and it's probably going to be difficult to give him critique and feedback here, but we'll do our best, won't we, Ed?
We? Yeah. Here's the thing, like, I think we've all got our strengths and weaknesses, and one of my biggest weaknesses, both traditionally and digitally, is inking. So I try not to make myself look like a fool and give people advice when I don't know shit, right? So like,
yeah,
there's a couple things that I'll look at with this, but like brush strokes and that kind of stuff, I'm not going to give feedback on. Like that's an inker's choice and an inker's prerogative and everything. Yeah. I know a bit, but I know enough that I know not to put my foot in my mouth and stuff, right? So, so what I'll talk about first is.
Yeah, I can go first if you want.
Go ahead.
So for me, looking at it from a distance, obviously this is a killer piece of work. Jimmy, I don't know what you're doing to us. You must be testing us and our ability to give feedback. But for me, the one thing that kind of gets lost a little bit is just there's not much of a distinction between the bottom of his jaw. I can see his bottom set of teeth, but I can't see the bottom of his jaw. And there's almost this weird optical illusion that then ends up happening where there's externomasto, whatever Ed calls them, the main band-like neck muscles that run down from the bottom of the ear into the base of the and middle of the collarbone. It almost appears as though that's the bottom of his jaw in a weird way.
The bottom of, I believe, if I'm reading this right.
Yeah.
It's something along these lines is the base of the mouth or something.
Totally. And that's the thing, is it reading that way? And could it be misinterpreted? I don't think in this instance many people will misinterpret in the way that I did, but I think that it's certainly possible that some people could. And it's always better to have less room for doubt when it comes to these things. So what I would have done to remedy that is just put in maybe a few highlights to indicate that underneath that bottom row of teeth, there is a lower jawline there. Maybe even just some skin wrapping around it, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's not done here, so who knows? Maybe he does have a plan a little bit to punch it further, like.
True.
I get how, especially, sorry, I'm going to go. Especially right here in this zone, it starts to lose itself, right? And so you really kind of lose where the neck is, where the jaw is, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Totally.
Yeah. Anything else pop into you?
I really love the shape of everything. I think, could you just zoom out for me a little bit?
Sure.
I'm wondering if his shoulders could be a little bit wider, since he's Venom. Usually when you're looking at a person, it's about two, especially on a guy, it's about 2 head lengths wide is the shoulder width. Now on a big beastie like this, I'd say you want to ramp that up to 2.5 head lengths, maybe not 3, but 2.5 possibly. And so what you end up with is a chest that looks maybe it has the proportions of a regular guy, but not a Venom, at least the way I would interpret Venom. So and again, I'm being picky here, right? So
this is how I'm interpreting the anatomy, like trying to, because some of it's done, some of it's not, right? So like, yeah, this is the head. Here's the traps. Here's the one delt. I'm presuming the pecs are going to go something along these lines and stuff like that. So like, it makes me wonder, this is kind of a dead zone, right? Like what's going to happen in all of this and stuff like that. Even if he does draw it in, like I don't know, it doesn't really do much, like when we're looking at the greater composition of the piece. I don't know. Let's see if I would have. I'm just going to try something here.
Yeah. How would you reposition it, Ed?
Yeah. Like, there we go.
Yeah. Don't quit, Jimmy. Don't quit. This looks amazing.
There we go. Do you see how like.
That That's awesome.
Now we have a piece.
What a magician.
Right. Now we have, if anything, I could bump it a little bit more because, you know, like if I'm looking at, let's see if I want to kind of, I don't know, this is just a rough, right?
Yeah.
But I'm looking at
the
points
eye
of
is
focus
dead on.
and stuff like that, right? Like,
Mm.
where am I going to bump things to? You know, I might have the eye one focus, the tongue another focus type of thing, right? Like, I might, or put the center of the head somewhere closer to here, something like that. There we go.
Yeah, man, that's perfect.
Yep.
Look at that.
Yeah, I think that helps, right?
You know, oftentimes cropping an artwork it does wonders for its composition.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's that would help it. Like I said, I wasn't going to go into the critique of the inking, but something that stands out to me is the light direction. So we've got light presumably coming in from like a little bit, it's bending a little bit, so it's slightly in front and it's touching on these sides, right? And so that matches this cast shadow, or this shadow here, right? But this shadow is only consistent here. It kind of is consistent here and kind of comes here and kind of comes here and then drops here. So we've got consistency in the light source and kind of drops here. But then we've got another light source coming in here. So for me, what I would have done, especially like, you know, if I'm kind of blocking things out, would be like, let's see if I can do this, if this makes sense. Okay, guys, so bear with me a little bit. What I would have done is come in and there's my shadow. There's the cast shadow, right?
Ooh.
With maybe the occasional, you know, little clip of a highlight for where some light might touch or something like that, you know, that type of thing. Like just,
wow,
maybe.
yeah.
And then, sorry, what?
You're good at this.
So this is for me coloring, right? And then what I would do is come in extra, and let's see if I can do this really fast. So this is me looking at it from a colorist perspective, right? Like I would come in extra, maybe his peck was something like this, right? Maybe a little bit here, the tongue. I don't know. All the details aren't here yet, right? And I would come in and let's see how I want to do this. And then just kind of do a rim light bouncing in, something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if I'm going to have two sources, I have my primary coming from above, right? I've got my primary in orange coming from up here and stuff like that. The primary is coming in. Then I've got, and that casts my main shadow and everything, right? Then I've got a secondary light source, which in this case is a mint blue or whatever. And so I would roughly touch that in. So as an inker, I would expect them to understand both, that there's a primary light source and a secondary light source. So you do your primary blacks, your spot blacks, then you leave a rim for your bounce, right? So that would be, like I said, I ain't going to tell this guy how to ink, but from a colorist perspective, from looking at this thing, the light sourcing doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, nice, man. So you're spotting a lot of things that I wouldn't have picked up on either. So
light source is what bugs me here.
Totally, man. Yeah, as Ed said, as far as the technical execution of those inks, it's obviously amazing work. Brilliant use of line weights. The rendering style he uses is totally on point. It's amazing. Yeah. Awesome stuff.
So I'm going to drag this back into here for a second. This was the original. And, you know, like he spent so much time in all of this. And I love it. Like as a technician, you're like, oh, that's some cool stuff. But where are we? We're somewhere here. Somewhere here. I don't even know where I am now. I've lost so many. There we go. But compositionally, this is a tighter picture.
Yeah, and it doesn't take a lot to fix that up either.
No. Like he can figure it out. But I'm just saying, like, for me, the lighting, I would define the lighting a little bit better. Even if you're going to ink it, yeah, I think you can spot those blacks a little smarter. Yeah, that would be my take on it, right?
Well, Jimmy disagrees with something that you said, Ed.
Oh, does he? Okay.
He says, Ed, sorry, I disagree. That would flatten it in the illustration. It's multi-layers on the body. Colorists can do that. Yeah, okay. That might be a good point. But I do agree. I actually do agree with you, Ed. I think that look, the thing with this is lighting is so complex that there's about 1 billion ways that you could do it. Things do need to be readable, and I can see how some of those neck muscles might pick up the light, but I mean that head is going to leave a massive shadow. It at least half of it is cast in darkness. So yeah, I mean a colorist could definitely fix it. However,
yeah, and that's what I've done many times. I mean, I'll come in and I'll throw in whatever I want on it, right? Like that's the fun about being a colorist, right? Totally. Anyways, this was posted up, and so that's our crits. That's the whole thing. Like, listen, there's going to be different opinions on stuff, and if somebody agrees or disagrees, it's Jimmy's art, and Jimmy's putting the effort into it and stuff like that. And if he likes it as is, or his client likes it as is, then good for Jimmy. That's awesome. That's what really matters is between him and the client and stuff, right?
Yeah, totally, man.
Take crits or leave them. That's how I see it, and take them gracefully too. Somebody said something to you, say thanks for taking the time, and it's all good, right?
Yeah, big time, man. I really learned a lot actually from all your last few critiques, especially Ed. The one on the lighting with Jimmy's was, for me, that was super valuable because I want to think about integrating more dramatic shadow work into my illustrations. But, that can be really tough to balance out a lot of the time when you're dealing with, dynamic rays of lighting shooting off and bouncing all over the place.
Absolutely.
But, also,
what helps with that is photography. Study photography. See how the lighting works in photos, how people can manipulate it, how you can manipulate it. Like if I start moving this lighting around or whatever and stuff like that, what does it create and stuff, right? Like, and so for me, photography really helped me as an artist and as a colorist.
Yeah, totally, man. And varying levels of light harshness, I think, is important to take note of as well. Like, for example, on an overcast day, you're dealing with a lot of soft tones. So you're going to rarely have those harsh transition between the light and dark values. But on a sunny day where shade is being cast and you're getting a lot of these cast shadows happening, that's a whole different lighting situation that's going to require different levels of value to be adjusted.
Sure. Yeah, sure, absolutely. And you get into buildings, you get artificial light, you get different directional lights, and it's fun. Like I actually, a buddy of mine, Danny Kim, he was doing up a book, like it was like a cyberpunk type of book, futuristic stuff, and it was like neon everywhere. And I just loved the colors that he was laying down on. I was like, and even just looking at you, look at the blue hint that's coming off the side of you there and stuff like that. Me, I analyze all that all the time. I'm always looking at, so how does this work? Why does it work? How
totally, man.
Touch and stuff, right? And so I guess that's why I take that extra critical eye on that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, big time. And it's probably one of the reasons as to, why certain aspects of your art you've got a handle on it, because you do have to be an observer of real life. You've got to be paying attention to things that normal, everyday, average people wouldn't even be, conscious of. So it's good to be aware of that stuff.
Cool. We're probably going to wrap it up pretty soon here, guys. We've been going for but we got 50 something people still watching. Like, I'm pretty impressed by how many people are on this.
This is the longest stream I've done, Ed. We've done so well. And
I just want, if anybody's got questions, throw them in there and stuff like that. And And Jimmy, whether we agree or disagree, it's all good. I appreciate you appreciating my time and stuff like that. It's all good, man.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, if people got questions and stuff, throw them in there. But at 2 hours and 20 minutes now, I think we're almost at the point of wrapping this, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Let's see. It's a lot of guys are saying that the video was stopped or something like that. Oh, Rick's telling him to reload the page and stuff. So, Chad asks, if you could draw the death of one main character, who would you pick?
Ooh. Damn. And what, they had to actually stay dead.
Oh.
Am I going to pick a character that I love, or am I going to pick a character that I want to have?
Pick somebody that pisses me off or something like that.
Man, that's really hard to say.
Carnage. I don't really give a shit about Carnage. I'd kill that bugger off.
Yeah. The Flash, probably for me. I don't like Flash that much. And I don't like Spider-Man either.
Oh, what the hell?
I know, right? It's controversial. My answer's controversial, but Spider-Man just...
Yeah, Rob's saying Superman. I think I might go for that too. I don't know. I love Superman, but he belongs in the 50s.
He's died already, though.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah.
Has there been a death of Spider-Man yet?
Spider-Man retired a number of times, but I don't know if he's died. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting some kind of vague questions like, how do you think about comic panel composition? I think we're going to leave that one for another day, Skuron. That I'd actually like to sit here and kind of go through comics and how flow and tempo and beats and everything, right? So it's part of the course that I'm working on and everything, right? So I think that would be fun, but it's too big of a pie to bite into right now.
Yeah. The one thing I will say on it, just real quick, is basically that composition stuff Ed was going through with just this piece that we're looking at of Jimmy's. That's what you kind of have to do for every single panel of your comic book. You got to make sure that the images inside those panels are well composed. You're directing a movie, right? Except it's more complicated than that, because you get panels of all different shapes and sizes, and so you got to make sure that the amount of the area of view that you've got to present what's happening within the story, all of that is kind of displayed and presented in an aesthetically pleasing way that also tells the story.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Ultimate Spider-Man, Peter Parker died in Ultimate
there you go.
Storyline, so that tells that. Yeah, you know what? I think at 2 hours and 20 minutes, we might and leave the room for dialogue. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, that's not just when we're talking about storytelling, we got to leave room for dialogue. There's so much to go into it. So, guys, let's leave that for another day. I kind of like this, how it is that we come in here, we chat a little bit about current comic stuff and everything, and then do some drawovers, chat with the guys, leaving comments and everything. And then, yeah. Oh, Chad's asking some good questions here. Who is the one professional person you would be hurt by if they didn't like your art? Damn.
Oh,
Damn, dude. Damn.
Dude. We were just about to wrap up too, damn it.
I know, but that's a good question, because for me, it's like my kind of trinity of McFarlane, Lee, Leonardo, right? Or Leonardo. Leonardi. Yeah. Not what can I think of his name? Leonardi. So if any of those ever actually looked at my art, and if any of them, Rick Leonardi, that's who it is, right? Ever tore me a new one, not just critiqued me, but told me to freaking retire or something, I would cry so bad. I think that's my trinity. That's my holy trinity, right?
Oh yeah, totally. For me, it'd have to be the Image guys. If the whole original Image team just sat down in a boardroom with me, and they had my work up on a projector.
Oh man,
and they were just tearing the shit out of it. I'd feel so
yeah,
so destroyed.
And listen, I've had a lot of pros tear into me and stuff, and I really I enjoy it. Like Smitty from Paul Smith from the X-Men, he gave me a lot of tough hits sometimes and stuff like that. Mark Brooks has given me some good feedback. Like I've had some pretty good solid feedback from pros, but they were always good people and good to me. Like any pro that has ever given me feedback they were solid people and stuff. So like I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking like somebody like really like digging into me. Yeah, it would be hard, man.
It would be brutal, especially if you looked up to them and admired them, and that's what happens at some of these conventions as well. Like I've heard stories. I think Death Pimmerson actually told us this story once where he took. I'm pretty sure it was him. He took his work to a convention, and this pro artist, just tore the shit out of it, and he kind of really disheartened him a lot. And I can imagine that happens for a lot of people. So I think there's a craft to giving good critique and feedback. You know, you really do have to come at it from a compassionate place where you're being encouraging. At the same time, you're really genuinely trying to help them out because you want the best for them.
Yeah, and you know what? Setting is key sometimes. Like, you know, some people have what's that guy that you follow? EVS or whatever?
Yeah, Ethan Van Sciver, yep.
Yeah, he had like a crit channel on YouTube for a while. I don't know if he's still doing it, but he used to give critiques on
cool.
books and pages and stuff. It was actually, he did it quite well. So like getting an artist like that they have the time, they have the inclination, and they're going to sit down and give you feedback. EVS's critiques were great. But walking up to somebody at a con when they're working and thrusting your portfolio, you know, maybe that might not go over so well and stuff, right? So depends on the context, depends on the setting. So even like in our own group, some days I'll be able to do draw overs. Like today, we sat here for 2 hours giving feedback on how many pieces, 15 pieces maybe or something like that. Like that's pretty legit, right? But sometimes I'll only have a second, like I'm I don't know, taking a piss. I'm sitting on the toilet or something. I look at a piece and I'm like, hey, fix the head. Am I being an asshole for saying that? Maybe, but that's not my intention. My intention is I only got 2 seconds to say something. And if you want to save this piece, fix the head.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it, man. And, you know, when you are at a convention, there's I remember Todd McFarlane saying how he would just be there all day. He wouldn't take any toilet breaks. He wouldn't take lunch or anything. Mm-hmm. And so by the end of that day, if you're like the last little guy to come up with your portfolio and show a tired, hungry, needing to pee Todd McFarlane your art, he's probably going to give you the shortest, most brutal answer possible in terms of a critique.
Or at least be prepared for that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And or like maybe ask him and say, hey, when's a good time that we can chat, or can I show you my work or something like that, right? Because like somebody comes up to me on a table, I haven't pissed in hours, I'm selling, busy. And like I'll either say to them, first thing in the con, come here right away, or last thing, let me take my piss break. I'll come back to the table. We'll hang out for a little bit and let's sit down and chat or something. But it depends. Like depends on totally. That's why just ask.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, if you're watching on YouTube here, or you're just watching on the How to Draw Comics Facebook page, or even my profile, because I know a lot of my buddies are artists as well. Be sure to jump into the How to Draw Comics group and also answer the questions, because that's going to ensure that you actually get into it. We aren't able to accept everybody, and it makes our job easier as to whether or not you're someone who genuinely wants to be part of the group or you're just a spammer or something like that. It can be hard for us to tell. We've got over 350 requests in there right now that we have to go.
Get like couple hundred a day, I think, for requests. And it's, you know, basically if you don't answer those questions right off the top, we're probably not going to let you in, right?
So you got to answer those questions. But in saying that, my point is to jump into the group, answer the questions, because there's a bunch of different artists of varying levels within that group. And because it's How to Draw Comics, the aim is to showcase your work, but also to share helpful resources and to give one another helpful feedback and critiques, and to encourage each other. You know, we're one big happy family, the HTDC community. There are pros in there, like Jimmy Reyes, for example, a pro inker. we got a bunch of others as well whose names escape me right now. We've got Ed and me, of course,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's really thanks to
Robert Marzullo posts in there quite often too. So like the main instructors from our howtodrawcomics.net are fairly active. Like I think for better or worse, I'm maybe the most active in there or something, you know, like, but the other instructors pop in there quite often.
Yeah, totally. We've got over well over 50,000 members at this point, 56 or something thousand, I think. And it's thanks to Ed Foychuk, Rick Buelow, and Katie Margaret Price that we're able to run it as well as we do, and that it is the group that it is in the first place.
We had a good question. When will on our next live be? We're trying to schedule it every week. So like I think it was last Sunday or Monday that I had my live. I did it by myself.
Yep.
I actually like this much better with you or with somebody else because like me just talking into space and me trying to manage all the comments, it's as a one-man show plus doing draw-overs, it was just too much. Like I was just like, you know what, I'm missing out on so many comments and questions and stuff. So between the two of us, we can, you know, you can talk about the art while I'd kind of do some comments and stuff like that and vice versa and stuff, right? I think it worked out better. Yeah,
absolutely, man. Well, you know what, for now we'll say this day. You know, for me, that's a Tuesday. For Ed, I believe it's still a Monday for you.
Monday in North America.
Yep. And that'll be at 5 p.m. PST time, Pacific Standard Time. So Mondays? No, sorry.
Yeah, Mondays in North America. And then gauge from there and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally.
Australia, Tuesday mornings or early-ish, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Pacific time or like Asia Pacific region and stuff, right? And then Europe, I don't know, Rick can tell us what time it is in Europe. I don't even know.
Yeah, totally. We'll put out a reminder anyway as to when the next one is going to be. We'll try to make it a few days in advance this time so everybody knows. And we'll see you all here next week. It'll be a whole lot of great fun. Make sure you come with your questions prepared, and we'll be happy to answer them.
Cool.
But you know, this is rounding out at exactly 2 hours and a half. So I think that is a good note to leave it on.
I think so too.
Ed, thank you so much for being here today and giving us your time, your energy, and your wonderful critiques.
It was cool, man. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed everybody that tuned in. I got to, because there was two of us, I got to read all the comments now. And yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And to everybody that tuned into the stream, thank you also for being here, for submitting your art, for giving us the comments and engaging with us. I mean, this is why we're doing it, so that we can be here with you and interact with you.
Oh, and, hey, just a quick heads up. Rick just said it's 2 a.m. in Europe, or depending on where you are in Europe. So yeah, it's a little bit late for our Europe. It's good for like Asia Pacific and North America, but our European brethren, you got to stay up. But then again, y'all are locked down right now, so you can stay up as late as you want.
Exactly. And you can also, you know, you can watch the replay and you know, send your artwork in prior to us actually streaming and watch it back if you want to see us critique it. So where there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
Anyway, we'll leave it there. Until next time, everybody, keep on drawing, keep on creating, and we'll see you in the next HTDC live critique session, comic art session, whatever we'll end up calling it.
All right. Peace out, guys.